Well, Thanksgiving was fun. I ate so much damn food, like pure gluttony. But I had a conversation with someone. I think it was one of you guys,
Mm.
but or with my lady. I was like, how do people eat like this every day? Like that's the one thing I was thinking about. Right? Is like there's actually people that eat this stuff every day. And I was telling her or her and someone else. I was like, man, because Thanksgiving Day was fine. It was okay because play basketball in the morning, got a good workout in, and had really good quality food though. I mean, our Thanksgiving is really quality in general. Um, and and then the next day had again because you have to do leftovers. But man, my stomach was not having it. Between all the carbs and the sugar and everything, the dairy, and all that, and the snacks and everything. I just go, how the hell do people eat like this? And I just came to the realization that people do.
So even when we're all supposed to be meditating on what we're thankful for, you're worried about what other people are doing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm thankful to be able to eat really good food and have a big roof over my head and all that sort of thing. Don't get me wrong, and having quality people around. But it's like, how the hell do people eat like this? I mean, I know there's probably a mental health aspect to it, because sugar is a drug practically. But I was like, damn, people eat like this every day.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, it's like the old saying about eating your emotions, and some people got lots of emotions.
Yeah,
Um,
guilty.
I mean, whether it be sweets or, yeah, just eating beyond just what your body should be able to handle. Yeah, I mean, it's like the whole, it's like, I believe the word would be cognitive dissonance. It's like people know they shouldn't eat that much, but they do anyway. And then it causes that internal conflict that, what do we all say about identity, right? It's like, you feel that anxiety when there's a clash with your identity, and
Yeah.
people know they shouldn't eat like like farm animals, but yet they go out there to the trough, every single day. But hey, man, it keeps Golden Corral in business.
It's gonna.
Oh God, Golden Corral, Christ.
Well, that's one of the reasons why. So neither of you have ever had the pleasure, in the biggest air quotes possible, of having my Oreo dump truck cake or my Nutella cookie pie,
Oh, I
where
remember that.
I,
I
I
remember you.
literally use
Yeah.
an entire Costco-sized jar of Nutella as the filling. And even my mom, who she loved desserts, even she commented like, sometimes I bake things that are this sweet just to punish you for eating it. 'Cause I think that's the only way. Like, if you lack self-control, just go overboard to the point where every bite makes you want to puke your guts out, and that will probably change your behavior.
Yeah.
Listen, there's something to that, Willie. This was years back, man, where as most people know, I eat a lot of meat, man. I'm a total carnivore, but I
Yeah.
was over at the that steakhouse at the Luxor in Vegas, but they had this one thing at the time where it's like it literally had like an animal from like land, sea, and air on it.
Oh,
Right?
Jesus Christ.
And then I ordered a side of like bone marrow and all this other stuff. So in one sitting, I ate 5 different animals, right? And it was like maybe the gods punished me because that night I had the worst heartburn I've ever had in my life. It was so bad. I thought I was going to die, but it actually made it so that I had this really bad reaction every time I would even like eat meat. And so I went about 3 months on a total
Yeah, but what did you
vegetarian
eat
diet.
with it though? I mean, what did you eat with it? Because like I've had meat binges like that before, but never had heartburn.
Well, it was the
Like,
Luxor, Van, not
well,
the Encore. So
well, in fairness, it was a nice steakhouse. No,
I
to
mean, did you
answer,
have like bread with it, and then dessert, and then like alcohol with it, and all that? Because
it could have been a number of
usually
things.
that's the combination that usually give
Yeah,
you heartburn.
it could have been any number of things. I also think it's also being old. I think I was about 39 at the time.
Yeah.
yes,
And
ladies and gentlemen, we think 39 is old. Our teenage adults have never aged.
well, the sad part is I say that's old, but I'm even older now, which is
Yep.
ridiculous to even say that. But yeah, it was so bad; it had a psychological effect. Like it's like the next week, I think I literally ordered like a steak, and I was like, oh fuck, I can't eat it. This went on for 3 months.
Really?
3 months, man. I couldn't do it, and then finally, it was a delicious prime rib that finally broke me out of that trance. But I was eating nothing but veggies and all that. I mean, the person I was dating at the time appreciated that, but no, it wasn't the business, man. But it was a
The point
strong.
is that In-N-Out didn't save you. Like In-N-Out rescues everybody. Like no matter how down in the dumps you are, double animal style with animal fries just picks you right up.
Oh, double, Will, you got soft, man. No more 3x3s.
No.
No, it's all about the 4x4s.
Oh my god.
But for me, it's like I have to work out.
The vomit. That's disgusting.
Right. Like, yeah, like I'm one of those weirdos. Like, I can do that, but I have to work out, and I always have to have fruit afterwards, like something to kind of counterbalance it. But that's what I always ask when people have heartburn. Like, what did you have with it, though? Right? I mean, that's always the key thing. Like, did you have a bunch of bread with it? Did you have dessert after? Did you have alcohol? Because usually that combination. I mean, that's just my experience.
The answer, Vin, is yes.
See, in my opinion, that's why you got terrible heartburn. Because just eat meat and veggies, you're not going to get it.
There were no veggies in that one, though.
Well, there you go. And that's just based. It's just based on my nutritionist friends.
He said
my experience.
Meat, sweets, alcohol. Yes.
That's the combination that'll get you. Absolutely.
I mean, Friday night though.
And then vegetables not applicable.
Yeah, that's why I always. Yeah, that's why I always have to put veggies on my plate. And usually I do red.
I put them on my plate, but that's just where they stay.
You're just there for the brand. Absolutely.
Right.
Color.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is the problem I have with America. America is so fucking fat. And it's like, it's horrendous. I mean, when I see people at the grocery store, at restaurants, and they could barely stand up, or they're fucking 6 rolls on their sides dragging on the floor, it's disgusting. I mean, this is why I kind of partially like Robert Kennedy to be the Human Health Services head, because yes, there's some things he says are a little bit wild, but I think overall we need someone to kind of shake things up, because I think we do need to have fitness standards back for youth, right? Just like his uncle did, right? Because we were fit back then. Yeah. And also to really clean up the food industry, because it is true. I mean, when you look at the foods that like, let's say like a box of cereal or things like that, or even box of pasta or treats or whatnot, and you compare it to other places around the world, it's literally the same box, but the ingredients here are so much longer. And the ingredients, you even know what the hell it even is. That's always been my policy, is if I always check the boxes that I buy. If I do I mean, most of the stuff I buy, it's veggies, meat, rice and sorts like that. I really don't have. I mean, I've been told my girlfriend I'm the worst snacker. Because I really don't. I mean, my snacks are like organic or stuff like that, but I really don't eat much. I don't eat chips really. Even my treats are like the Unreal brand, which is like 5 ingredients in it. Right. It's like I want to know I want to be able to know everything that's in the ingredient box. But other than, if I don't understand it, I won't eat it.
That Unreal thing, that little chocolate peanut butter thing you let me try.
Yeah, it's like dark chocolate and peanut butter. I also like the one that's dark chocolate and coconut in the middle. Yeah. But again, there's like 6 or 7 ingredients, and you know exactly what's in there. There's no extra bullshit. There's real sugar. There's no fructose corn syrup, all that kind of thing. But no, that, like, you look at the boxes here compared to other countries, it's really sad. But I really hope that he's able to implement that, because it is scary. I mean, I think Wall Street Journal or someone had an article where 3/4 of Americans are now, it's either overweight, and then like half of them are obese. And I get it, like, look, but weight and height I don't agree with, right? Body index, that's bullshit. Because if you're fit with muscle, like heavy skeletal muscle, it's different compared to someone's a fat slob, because muscle is like 10 times more dense than fat. But in general, I hope that he can put fitness standards in for youth, and then really clean up the ingredients in a lot of the food that we eat. Because I know affordability is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope all that gets addressed. I'm just, I knew I was going to rant on this because at Thanksgiving dinner, I was like, man, this is, now don't get me wrong, our Thanksgiving dinner is like really healthy in general. I mean, everything is cooked well, but just in general, I was going, how the fuck do people eat like this? Or, you go to the grocery store and you walk by someone, you go, what the hell is in that cart? All these processed foods and chips and all of that.
I think Kennedy ought to normalize our political leaders giving news conferences shirtless.
uh,
Like, at least the guys, like
or
out
maybe
there, internet land, don't get all hissy.
maybe
At
Well,
least
that's just it. All his, yeah, I mean, all his fucking haters are like fat slobs. Meanwhile, he's really fit, right,
he's
and
really
everything
good.
like that.
I saw that
So,
video of him doing the push-ups. Like, Jesus Christ! When I was
yeah,
18, I couldn't do that shit.
So in his defense, yeah, he may say a couple of things that are a little bit crazy, but in general, from a health and fitness standpoint, he looks the part, and also his proposals overall, I say 3/4 of them, I think, are good because America's got it together. Because based on the studies and based on everything I've seen, I mean, your physical health really affects your mental health
Yeah.
because all the brain fogginess and the lack of, I mean, diet plays a big role. I mean, I know, I mean, you guys know that I eat damn healthy most of the week, but I do, have occasional, I balance things, right? Like I do crave a Shake Shack burger here and there, or I do want,
It's a gluttonous spell.
right? I mean, I'm all with that, but I mean, those days I'm pretty good because I work out a lot, so it counterbalance. But when there's days and where it's like 2 days in a row, like Thanksgiving, that I eat out of my regimen, I had so much brain fog on Friday,
Right.
and I couldn't sleep. I was so uncomfortable. So again, but that affects your mental health and your performance, right? Because you feel like shit and you're foggy and all that. So I mean, I hope that he does do a good job. So, but it's just sad. I mean, have some self-respect. I mean, fucking a.
Well, let me ask you a question. Like, I know if we start playing the recording of the Pacer run, all of our audience of a certain age is going to start having terrible flashbacks to PE. But do kids no longer have like the push-up, sit-up time test like they did when we were kids, or is that?
Well, I think it depends on the school. I mean,
Okay.
I think it's not. I don't know if it's a national standard or not. I mean, you have to fact check that. But I know I've asked some people, like my nephew and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But he goes to a private school, so it's different. So they do have a standard. But I think public schools, it depends on where you go. That has that. But we'll have to fact check that. I think Willie should check that. But I know there is a standard. I mean, growing up, the school I went to at the high school, there was a standard. I mean, but we were a well-off school district. I mean, there was a lot of money in where. Well, look, till fourth grade. I mean, I grew up in the ghetto till fourth grade, but when we moved to the suburbs and all that, it was different. But I remember like we had all like rope climbing, swimming, run a mile under a certain time, push ups, all that kind of thing. But I don't know. There is still a national standard for that.
I mean, probably not if you ask Charles Barkley. At least not in San Antonio.
Oh yeah, the big old woman down in San Antonio.
The churro to a PE fitness ratio is not. It doesn't add up. The math doesn't add up. The calories gained versus calories expended doesn't. Yeah, no. I don't know. It's a good question though, but I mean, I have to imagine, and this is again pure speculation. So feel free to fact check me as well. But
Well, apparently, the Pennsylvania State Board of Education requires that every student in primary, middle, and senior high school must be provided with planned instruction that is aligned with academic standards in health and physical education. But that could just mean you have to take a class on why vegetables good, fat bad.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because I would wonder what the what the standardized tests are. Because back in the day, you had to do a certain number of push-ups, sit-ups.
Yeah, the President's Challenge.
Yeah, man, I had that damn certificate from Bill Clinton back in the day.
Yep.
But the thing is, I think a lot of that is also, in my opinion, was rooted in competition. Like with the boys, you want to outdo your buddies. You want to be able to brag who did the most push-ups. So you pushed your arms until you couldn't do push-ups anymore. And now I don't know if that same kind of mindset is there. Because and plus, let's be real, guys. You got to make fitness kind of fun. Like I don't know if you guys had this in school, but like my elementary school, they had like an obstacle course, and like when you got to do that, it was like, oh man, this is so cool because they had the whole thing. You had to jump, you had to climb, you had to go across those monkey bars, like do hurdles. But they made it in a cool way, and it was just really nice. I mean, even like the laziest kid would try to do it, And so it was. I don't know if they still do that, but that'd be really cool, man.
Man, I think we tried to do it just because even if you weren't the best, you didn't want to be the worst.
Yeah.
The guy, whatever kid was the worst, man, he was gonna get roundly ridiculed for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
No, and that should be motivation, right? It's not like, in my opinion, it's about health, um,
Mhm.
and really being healthy and everything. And I just think it's important and to have basic knowledge of health and I know definitely for underprivileged areas, I think all the money that we waste in government, which Will and I go heavy on in our finance podcast, because government is spending like drunken sailors. And that's where I do support Elon a bit in the Doge department, with cutting some spending. And I do want to give a shout out to Scott Bessent, who's going to be our Secretary of Treasury, because I think
Mm.
his 3-3-3 plan is going to be very helpful, which is which is growing the GDP consistently at 3%, cutting spending by 3%, and then uh, increasing energy output by 3%. I think can work really well.
Mm.
But no, I mean, we're spending all this money, but yet you see these underprivileged communities not getting healthy foods, as well as there's still kids in poverty not getting food either on top of that. So obviously if you're a parent that has a choice where you have to buy something that's cheaper, which is unhealthier, which is very unhealthy compared to spending a little bit more money that they can't afford being healthy, it's a sad disadvantage.
Yeah.
So that's something I think as a country we definitely need to implement, and help support these underprivileged communities so they can have access to healthy foods, because the long-term implications are big, right? I mean,
Mhm.
unhealthy, you talk about healthcare costs, you're talking about mental health crisis, you talk about just there's just a wider range of issues that why not start here, right, to help these communities with not only great education, spend money on education, but also with nutrition. I think we can solve a lot of problems. And that's where I do have a problem with the food industry, right? I mean, you guys know I'm pro capitalism, but this is where the government needs to step in, right? And where not the antitrust bullshit and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that to me that's kind of a balance. But in general, you should at least implement laws and where you have minimum standards of things, and where you shouldn't add this, right? There's like a certain I think there's like a certain dye that are like a dye that's added in certain foods where it's legitimate studies that's practically poison, like
Yeah.
legitimate studies, scientific studies that
It's
show,
like red 5 or orange 5 or something.
yeah, like this is not good for you. It can cause cancer. Like the studies are overwhelming. So it's not a conspiracy theory. It's fact. Science is a bitch, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is if you don't understand it.
Yeah. No, no, you're right. I mean, there's so much like, have you guys seen those like memes? I don't know if it's accurate, but I can say it's accurate for the U.S. where
Hmm.
show like our elementary school lunches
Oh
versus
yeah,
other countries, and it's pretty drastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, pretty
I
sad.
mean, I mean, it's definitely gotten better for sure. I
Yeah.
mean,
Hey,
shout out to Michelle Obama. I mean,
hey,
she did that.
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, man. When I was a kid and our post Thanksgiving thing where they give the mashed potatoes, the shredded turkey, gravy, and all that, man, that was the bomb. But looking back, it probably wasn't the best thing for us, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, you look at like France and Italy. I'm surprised Italy doesn't give a little glass of wine with their meal.
They
Jeez.
I mean,
But
I mean, at home for dinner, I definitely know that they do. That's for sure, and
Well,
that
it's
helps with the stigma.
it's not just the nutrition thing. Like you mentioned, brain fog and mental health and everything else. Like there have been studies where if you're not getting proper nutrition when you're a child, like your brain development is literally changed. Like it
Yeah,
goes, yeah, you're not going to get Swiss cheese brain, but there is a measured outcome on IQ, on reasoning, on, for lack of a better term, processing power. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what the correct term is. But the thing is, like, if something so seemingly simple as don't feed your kids crap can actually impact their grades, it can impact their test scores, it can impact whether or not they are able to get a better life for themselves, and whether you like it or not. SATs and ACTs are kind of the gatekeepers. The college you go to is kind of a gatekeeper. Yes, what the only thing that matters is what you do, how you perform. But if you want your child to have every advantage possible, like these are the sorts of things that parents should be aware of. What are you feeding your kid? How are they engaging their brain outside of school? You just have to wonder, like, what the hell would society be like if we actually took care of the basics?
No, for sure. Yeah, and that's why we support No Kids Hungry. I
Okay,
think it's a great.
yep.
I think it's a great nonprofit organization. Which shout out to them, and I hope our listeners give something. I mean, it's like for every dollar you give, it does help feed 10 kids. And the key with them, I like them, is not only do they feed kids, but they feed them quality foods though.
Yeah.
So it's not a box of Fruit Loops and Sunny D
Yeah.
and whatever whatever the hell that or tasty cakes and that crap.
I never had
That
tasty cakes. Are they tasty?
yeah, I've had them before. I mean, it's okay. I mean, growing up, but luckily, as our family got more money, we shifted to better food. Um, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's
Tastier cake.
tastier cake, yeah, with real ingredients and all that.
It does take time though, because I've noticed like people tend to a lot of times stick with what's familiar, even though it's bad for them. Whether it's relationships, habits, dietary choices. Because I remember in my time when I worked with like the homeless population, for example, you can present them with really really healthy stuff like salads. You guys, I remember the program I used to work at. We got a really good donation from Starbucks before, and those little protein packs they have, like where it's like got the
Yeah.
fruit,
Yeah, the little meat and cheese platter.
yeah, I mean, okay, granted, the taste was like, okay, it's not about taste, it's about nutrition. And, to me, I was like, if there was ever such thing as 3D printed food, I imagine it tasted like that. But that being said, nutritionally, it was great. It covered a lot of the bases, the protein, healthy carbs, and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Fiber. Man, and we couldn't get these cats to eat it. Like they would eat it, but it would be like a little child eating broccoli, right? And then they were just like, man, can I just get a chimichanga? And I was like,
God.
my thing was, dude, just eat half of that, and I'll hook you up with a chimichanga. Just so I know that at least you're getting some nutritional value, and then you'll get the freaking unhealthy chimichanga. But again, it just takes conditioning, and people got to buy into it, right? But people just habit is a hard thing to break.
I mean, talk about mental health, right? I mean, it's talk about mentality, right? It's it's discipline, it's consistency, but also reward. I've helped a lot of people, friends around me to kind of get their act together with nutrition and fitness, and it's like it's all the consistency, right? It's like if you eat good most of the week and a couple times a week, 1 or 2 times, you eat one meal, not a whole day. I like cheat meal, not cheat day. It keeps you sane, right? It's all about balance. And I think, but also when you do that 4x4 in and out or whatever, or that Shake Shack, right? It's going to taste so much. Yeah, it's going to taste so much better and more rewarding, right? When you do that, right? But you eat it every day and all that kind of stuff. It's become whatever. And it's, that's how I view it.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, man. I think, so what I've noticed is when you work your ass off, and you mentioned consistency and discipline is better than motivation when it comes to this stuff. When you work your ass off, that cheat meal, your standards start to go up. Like I remember 2020 when you got me going back to the gym again. I think it took like a month before I realized, man, Arby's for a cheat meal just ain't gonna fucking cut it anymore. Not have
100%.
All week. I want something better. Like if I'm gonna have a cheat meal, it better be Shake Shack. It better be Dairy Queen. It better be something worth it. Not this chintzy crap for $5 or $6. Like your standards do elevate once you put it in that perspective of you're earning this, so like actually make it worthwhile.
And Arby's is garbage. My God.
Arby's sucks. I don't know why that's terrible. When I was a kid.
It's because when you're a kid, your taste buds are basically geared towards fast food and stuff like that. Yeah. And as you get older, you're like, damn, why isn't this as good as I remember it? What's because you've elevated your life now to eating finer dining. Right?
Yeah. Oh, my future kids are gonna be so damn spoiled.
Oh my God.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna let them have fast food. Hell no. Like, hey, private chef, make them like homemade. Hey, Mika.
The first time they leave the house under their own power, they're gonna sneak a Shake Shack and they're gonna be like a crackhead. Like, what is this that Dad's been denying me?
Now listen, you've had my burgers. I think it's better than Shake Shack.
Burgers are fantastic. Your broccoli's fantastic.
Yeah, like a whole. Right, and that's just it, right? I mean, you can make healthy foods taste good. I mean, you just gotta know how to season things, right? I mean, that's the end of the day. That's the big thing. But I started going on that rant. I was just like, man, these motherfuckers eat. I mean, look, and also makes Thanksgiving more worth it, right? It's something to look forward to. When I mean, well, I know. I mean, leading up to it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna eat real clean, and then I'm gonna do extra workouts. But it made it taste good. I
I
was like,
love
oh
them.
man, this is worthy. Yeah, I ate so damn much uh Thanksgiving. I was like, man, this is bad.
I had like
Uh,
2 plates. Like I'm done. I can't
oh no,
more.
I had probably enough. I ate enough for like 10 people, probably easily. But again, that's why you work, and that's another thing to throw in there: physical activity, right? I think physical activity is so crucial to mental health.
Yeah.
And I know we've talked about it before. I just don't get how people don't get physical activity in. As I get time, but even just throwing 30 minutes in, going to walk, do some push-ups at home, sit ups, like even just that at home, you're watching TV or you're doing something, just throw in 30 minutes of, workouts, just, body weight, push-ups, sit-ups, body weight squats, go for a walk while you're listening to a podcast or you're taking a call. Like, because everyone's like, oh, I'm taking, they catch up with their friends on the call and they lay on the couch. I'm like, you can walk outside or walk around the house, while you're taking that damn call. So there's no excuses. But I think people, listeners listening, start somewhere, and I think you'll see a huge difference. Like I have a friend who's older, and they got a report of like really high cholesterol, right? And their doctor's like, you gotta get this together. And I'm like, okay, well, clean this up a little bit, but go on a walk, 30 minutes a day, whenever you can do it. And this person can do it in the morning. But they've seen a huge difference now. They feel better. They're down 10 pounds, and their numbers have gone. But it's even as simple as walking and cleaning up your diet just a little bit. It doesn't have to be dramatic, right? So just do something. I mean, I know in the last podcast that Brian was saying, just do something, right?
Yeah.
When you're stuck somewhere in life and you're feeling kind of, like stalling a little bit, just do something. And I think if you do that, even just your personal life of nutrition and physical activity, I think that carries into your work life, right? And all that kind of thing. And everything else in life will be reflected upon that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like the internet meme of if a doctor tells you that you have cancer, immediately go into the plank position because it'll feel like the cancer will take forever to kill you. If people think bodyweight exercises are bullshit,
Oh no, it's not.
hold a plank for 2 minutes. See how you
No,
feel after that. But on your elbows, not arms straight.
it's no joke, man. Body weight. I mean, I always tell people body weight is the biggest thing.
Yep.
I tell people if you can't do 25 push-ups, 25 sit-ups, 25 body weight squats, then you're a bum. Like you should be able to do that.
Woo!
Yeah, you should be able to do it. I mean, every morning I do it. Every morning, well, I do different. Every morning I do 50 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and 50 body weight squats. Just as soon as I wake up, just to get going. But if you do that consistency, what do they say? If you can do 30 days straight of like a routine, then or of something, it
30
becomes
days is a habit.
right. It becomes a habit.
Yep.
So for people, January's coming up. Everyone, most 99% of people that start in January tend to quit their resolution. So advice that we have, right, is January 1st or 2nd. I mean, January 1st, everyone's hungover. January 2nd, start those things that you have a goal, but do it every day, even though it sucks. Just do it, and then all of a sudden becomes a habit, and it becomes a difference maker. So don't be like the 99% other people that are fucking lazy bums that quit. Like at the gym where you get so crowded, but then by the end of the year, I mean, the gym last week was so empty. Remember, like it just starts to empty out. But don't be like one of those people. Like be consistent with it. And it'll make it better. And I think a lot of times, even just throwing in physical activity can counter some of the bad food. Like I said, right? With Thanksgiving in the morning, I got about 6 or 7 miles in running, right, that morning, and then that counted everything. And then on Friday, you and I got a great lift in, Willie. And then yesterday, when I started getting my shit together after those 2 days of gluttony, I got another about 5-6 miles in. And then went to Kava to get veggies in and got cleaned up a little bit. But I feel great today. Like I feel amazing today. You know, I got rehydrated, everything. But the physical activity really countered a lot of that because you can burn all that off and everything. So
Got an Asian Patrick Bateman over here.
no, I mean, I just want our listeners to know. Yeah, I just want our listeners to know that physical activity and nutrition plays such a critical role in your mental well-being as well as other parts of your life and success. And it also shows a lot about you. You know, if you can endure a workout and eat well, then that discipline can show a lot. Like, you know, for example, if you come to our office for a job and I see you're a fat slob and I can hear you breathing from downstairs coming upstairs to the office,
My
more
God.
than likely I'm not going to hire you.
Not listening to this.
No, I mean, yeah, I am fat shaming. I'm proud to fat shame.
Yeah.
I'm extremely proud to fat shame people because, again, there's a difference between thick and fat, right? If you're a thick person but you're healthy, that's different, right? Your blood work is good and all that and everything, and you do work out and you're healthy. That's different. That's different because some people are just built bigger, and that's fine, right? But if you're truly a fat slob and you're drooling as you're walking around, or you're on the scooters walking around you're going around the store, I can hear you breathing from a mile away. You know, get your shit together. I am fat shaming. This whole culture, this society today. We'll get to that Jaguar commercial, but you know, this whole
attorney is calling me right now for what.
but this whole
he somehow heard it.
yeah. I mean the whole thing. Oh, you can't fat shame. Yeah, I can. Because I do it out of caring for that person, right? Or caring for these people out there, and where it is extremely unhealthy to carry that weight, and all these health problems. And this is why, if I was a health insurance company, I'm like, yeah, fuck you. You're fat. I'm not gonna try to pay for your heart disease stuff
we
because
just charge you a higher premium, then.
no, I know, but I'm just saying in general though. But like people, you know, but we pay for it too, though. Other health, you know, we pay health insurance too, but our premiums go up because of all the things they have to pay. So we can build a healthier society and fat shame. I think we can help, you know, reduce the cost of healthcare.
Something I wanted to add to what you're saying about like, you know, like this idea of fat shaming. The opposite of that really is like this, like the worst part of the body positivity movement. And I'm for body positivity when it makes sense, but I've noticed, for example, like in my line of work, there's a certain style of therapy. It's called narrative, where they really externalize problems, and so it's good in its intentions, but when used incorrectly or used wrong, it could really be harmful. So if someone like would say, "Oh, you're not fat," it's just that society has these expectations on you to be perfect, and so it's not your fault; it's their fault, and it's like
No, you're
now.
fat.
But the problem with that then is, as you can imagine, someone who's like, yeah, they're right. Forget what my doctor says about my cholesterol and all this stuff. It's that I'm perfect the way I am. Everyone else's opinions need to change. Now, see, sometimes that works if, like, you know, let's say you're getting bullied because of race or something like that. I mean, that's just some messed up shit, right? Because that is people being very intolerant of you, right? But inherently, there's nothing wrong in what you did because there's nothing you could have done to change your ethnic makeup, religion, and your gender, whatever, right? And so it is what it is. That sucks. But when it's this idea that there is a better way, and sometimes, like Buddhists, we talk about moderation, right? Like, just don't eat too much, don't eat too little. But the idea is like, no, I don't need to eat less, I don't need to exercise, I don't need to watch what I eat. I'm just fine the way I am, right?
As they can't see their feet,
and then you don't make it past 30, right?
Yeah.
And because, well, again, I'll invoke our patron saint Charles Barkley about what his doctor said to him. Remember Vinny says, like, Charles, I was worried about you because there's no fat old people. Right?
No.
And then people who have who hold on to these toxic views, these self-defeating views, they always regret it when it's already too late. They're like, man, I wish I didn't listen to so and so when they told me I'm just fine the way I am. I should have done something about it. Now I'm not going to live to see my kids go to college. I'm not going to live to see grandkids. You know what I mean? And it's horrible,
right?
All because I need to feel good under false pretenses. And so, yes, but to what you say, Vin, like there's some people just born bigger and stuff like that. Like I have a friend, she's a bigger girl, but she's always just been big. It's just a big bone structure. And
Right, and she's probably healthy. Like that's the key thing, right?
yeah,
Is
yeah, she does like powerlifting and stuff now.
right, and you do physical checkups. Yeah, and that's good. That's what we mean, right? It's and also a couple other things too. Real friends and real family members should call out that, like, a real friend will be honest, right? And that's where I think another problem is all these people are afraid to tell their friend the hard truth, right? And like you should tell them, like, if you see your friend, they're 20 pounds heavier, like, yo, fat ass, get your shit together. Come to the gym, come to the gym with me, or let's help one another, right? And I think that's so important. And we talk about this all the time in other aspects of life. But a real friend or a real family member will call out that person and be like, hey, let me see your blood work. Let me see, like, are you healthy? And again, that's the difference between thick and fat. Yep. In my opinion. But also another thing too is celebrate the small wins. Like what you said, Brian. Like Brian, I think you mention this all the time, and I think it's on point, which is small wins, right? Let's say they're on a journey, lost 2 pounds, celebrate it. That's amazing. Or like you see a little bit difference in them, going, amazing, keep going. And I think, and yes, the fat shaming thing, I'm serious about it. I do fat shame, but I also will be supportive and celebrate someone when I see a difference. Yeah, right. So so it's like, hey, that's amazing, brother. Like, or hey, that's amazing. And I'll say that at the gym. I mean, there's a couple of people, Willie, when I go to the gym together here.
Yep.
And when I see a scrawny guy gets muscle on him, or when I see someone that was a bit bigger that lost weight, I'll literally just walk up to them and be like, amazing. I've seen your progress, fist pump. Right. And I think if people will do that more, I think we'll have a better society as well, because it's encouragement. And then another thing too, the fat shaming thing is, I think the whole fat shaming thing, other things, is disrespectful for people of color, as well as people LGBT or other people who actually, are going through real shaming, and it's not, racism and all that, where it's not. It's like, come on, like making fun of someone for whether they're gay or they're black or Latino or being legitimate racist and all that. Like for them to go, oh, you're shaming me. Come on, those people, are not, they were born that way, and they're real, and they're human beings. But to the whole fat shaming thing, it's like, you weren't born that way. You ate yourself to 400 pounds and can't see your feet, and I can hear you breathing down the hallway, right? It's like, so to me, they're those type of people are taking away from the real movement of getting people to stop being racist and to stop being haters, right? And it's, to take that away from that is really sad to see. Yeah. Because there's still racists in this world, which is sad, right? It's like, we're all humans, right? And I'm not saying these fat people are not humans either. Everyone is equally human, right? But it's like, to create a movement about, anti-fat shaming, it's like, no, we need to be anti-racist, anti-hateful of LGBT, anti-hateful of religion, right? Because you have every right to have the same equal rights as anyone else. Fat people too, but there needs to be fat shamed, because it's like, you had a choice. You need to get healthy. You need to get your life in order. But for you to try to think fat shaming is as equal as racist, that's disrespectful in my opinion. That's some grade A organic pasteurized bullshit.
Healthiest form of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean that's horrific in my opinion.
Saying a few episodes ago, like everyone, like people need an identity, and so many of them just identify as a victim. I'm sure you put a little more spin on that because you actually know things that I don't. But that was my takeaway from it.
No, you're not a victim. You're just a fat fuck that couldn't control yourself.
It's like, think of it like this too. Like a lot of things you mentioned, Vin, like the way you're born. The reality is, someone has to go out of their way to be hateful towards you because you're literally not doing anything to inconvenience them, right? Like,
correct.
You being like to say a certain gender, a certain race doesn't actually physically have any sort of effect. However, if you're morbidly obese, let's say, it does have an effect. Even if you don't mean it. Like, let's say you're on an airplane. One of us got to sit next to a high calorie.
Oh individual. Lord, yeah. That's why first class is the way to go.
Listen, as a man who had to sit for 7 hours on a Greyhound bus when I was much younger, next to a very corpulent woman, and she was oozing her way into my seat when she fell asleep. It's like the movie The Blob, the '84 movie.
Oh my god.
And I don't know how she sweat so much. It was the dead of winter, she had them cold ham sweats, right? But
Oh,
that's what I mean. Like, it's inconveniencing me and making me feel a certain way. But I know some would say, well, you shouldn't be inconvenienced. I can't mentally check out of the fact that I'm like this.
correct.
I'm packed in like tighter than an Alabama tick, But that's what I mean. But it's like, but I'm the bad person in this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or like if someone has like really, really offensive odor, okay?
Yeah.
Again, something they can do. And we should, you know what? I make a movement to abolish bad body odor too.
No, odor shaming, 100%.
Carry a can of
Absolutely.
body spray with you everywhere you go.
Man,
We had one dude.
there's not enough Creed Aventus in the world to like.
By the way, I have to go
offset.
piss. Keep going.
we had one guy years ago in the dojo that did not wear deodorant, but it was for religious reasons. Now, I'm going to be the first one to admit I don't know shit about fuck when it comes to anything, and I'm not familiar with any religion that requires that, but I'm sure there are some. So trying to be sensitive to those who worship incorrectly. But so you wouldn't think it would be that big of a deal, but keep in mind this is an enclosed space. There are no open windows. The HVAC system can only do so much. And we were doing our belt tests, and it was, I think it was right around 7 to 7.5 hours of straight, just sweating, striking, grappling, conditioning, like everything, 7 hours. And I remember that because as soon as I got out, A, I fainted, and B, when I finally came to, I think the rest of the day I ate legitimately 8 or 9 full-sized entrees. But you can imagine, like this, the aroma that this person was letting off after 7 hours of sweating with no deodorant. And it's like I'm all for being sensitive to a point. Like if I'm vomiting because you want to please your God, I will arrange the introduction firsthand. I will make you see him or her yourself. Like there has to be some level of respect for other people. Like yeah, you do you, but as soon as what you're doing starts to pose a physical health risk on me because I'm about to pass out from your BO and puke all over the floor, that's where the line gets drawn. And as far as the airplane thing, uh maybe I shouldn't mention this, but I feel it's my duty as the only aerospace engineer on this podcast. Aircraft have weight and balance limits, and if you exceed the weight and balance limits, you're probably going to crash. And if you don't believe me, well, how did Aaliyah die? Plane was overloaded and out of balance. How did the skydivers in Hawaii die? I think it was 2019, Vin. The article. Well, the plane was out of balance. Are a couple fat people going to put a 737 into the ground? No, Boeing will do that on their own.
But this is why they should buy 2 tickets, in my opinion.
Yeah, and some do. Some airlines do require what they call passengers of size.
Yeah, and I agree. Like you have to step on that scale for luggage to to determine if to buy 2 tickets or not. I totally agree with that.
I think there are actually some countries that do that. I don't know if Ryanair do that.
As they should.
That seems like a Ryanair thing to do.
Yeah.
But that's one extreme situation, but it is an example where your decision can have health and safety implications on other people. Like I don't want to die in a plane crash because they put all the fat guys in the back, and she picked it up on a gust and couldn't right herself with pitch control. I don't want that to be the way I go. I want to go the way a man should, hunting a T-Rex or drunk off his ass at, you know, a swinger party or something glorious. You know, I don't want
Right.
to go that way.
And
Well,
you talk about mental health, right? I mean, let me start from the bottom up here. I mean, you go on a long flight, right? And someone's like what Brian said, or the Greyhound, like you're gonna be angry and miserable all day, right? And then there's conflict amongst you two, right? So talk about mental health issues. Like now you're stressed out, you're angry, and all that kind of stuff, including that odor thing you're talking about, right? So there's all that stress. And going boarding a plane is already stressful. Or anything else, boarding a bus or all that kind of thing, that's already stressful. But to add that, we talk about stress on that. Okay, now that's more like the lower level type of stress, mental health. The next level is men's mental health from a standpoint of self-confidence. I mean, you talk about in today's society about younger men struggling with mental health, or just men in general, right? Your physical health plays a big role in mating, right? I mean, finding your mate, as well as your over self confidence. And I think a lot of the self confidence and the struggles. I mean, I mean, that's a whole other side of it. I mean, yes, you got to be a good man in general, right? But your physical attributes play a huge role, and I think with the numbers of obesity rates and all that high, it's not good. So that's another thing for our male listeners is women. Love is love, but a big part of it is they have to be attracted to you, and they also have to know that you're not going to die at 40 years old when they have kids with you. And they want to know you can protect them. Like a fast love is not going to be able to protect them as much as a physically fit person. I'm not saying you have to have a six pack and all that, but at least someone that's fit and healthy, and those sorts of things. But also, work wise, can you be someone that can provide? Because if you're going to be fat and obese, all these health issues, and you have brain fog and all that, you're going to be able to focus on your work. So I think that's another part of the mental health crises. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but for both genders, but especially with men who are morbidly obese or just obese in general, don't eat healthy, do not get physical activity in. I think that's a huge part of the problem today, and how it's affecting men's health. In addition to them being quote unquote neglected and all this sorts of things, right? These studies that young men are falling behind. It's like, yeah, because your fat ass is literally sitting there, and everyone's moving forward. So correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, but I think the reason why I bring this up today is just and I keep seeing it though, right? I see young children fat, right? Young boys, I see them fat. I see young teenagers. I see people around our age, or your age and my age. You guys are older. Sorry, I had to throw a jab in
More
there.
experienced. He's a
more mature.
fine.
But like you see him, it's kind of sad, in quite a bit. And I kind of see why men are struggling. In addition to other character attributes, don't get me wrong, but just initial look, and that's what women see initially, right? When they're going on Tinder or Hinge, or they see you at the bar. That's one of the first things they see. To be honest, is your physical appearance.
Well, Brian says, what a guy's got to provide, he's got to be good in the sack, he's got to solve problems. Like, yeah, but no one's ever going to give you. You could be the best lay in the world, a master craftsman, master mechanic, everything. No one's going to give you a chance to demonstrate any of that if they can't stand the side of you. Like I keep trying to walk down the street and see, man, look at the set of morals on that. That's not how humanity works. Like we're a visual species first and foremost, and is it unfair? Yeah, it fucking sucks. And I speak as one of those people, but that's the reality. So I mean, either you can adopt a victimhood mindset, or you can try to do something about it to fix yourself.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because you're right on the surface, like someone's first impression, man or woman, is gonna be like, okay, look at this guy here. And sometimes I'll be like, oh, well, he's well put together, got a firm handshake and all that. But then sometimes, yes, our inherent biases come into play, and we see someone who is like, again, big, but not because let's be real, sometimes. Look, you guys are, came from the athletic world. You know the difference between someone who got big and someone who was always big, right? The person who's always big, they're big, but the proportions kind of match up. Like their calves, for example, their legs look like an average person's legs. It doesn't have like a layer of fat over the ankles and all that. They don't
Yeah.
have like the turkey neck and everything down the arm.
Unless they're Cuban, we all got the little gobble neck.
Oh yeah,
Not
yeah,
the
yeah.
turkey.
Genetic. I've never met a Cuban that doesn't have that.
But like in their arms, they got the little flap meat there.
Yeah.
The
They go
but
wings.
like yeah, but like someone who was always just big, they're just a thick person, like Vincent. For example, like a lot of these sumo wrestlers, yeah, you might call them fat, but they are not out of shape.
No.
They're no.
Well, was even like linemen we talked about, right? We talked about
Linemen.
defensive linemen or offense as a former D lineman, right? As soon as we cut weight, all of a sudden you see all the cuts because we're always muscular. It's just we had to be a little extra weight because of your position.
Yes.
But as soon as you lose weight, oh my god, it's like all the cuts you see everything.
Were you saying, Vin, that the ideal lineman, like, yeah, they're big, but you always look at their ankles and they got
that's actually
a fine ankle. You know that they're actually fit regardless of how they look.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Shout out to Coach Johnson who recruited me. He was at Penn State at the time, was at Ohio State now. But that's true. A lot of the coaches, I mean, they look at your numbers and all that, but they also look at your potential. So they look at your physical attributes. It's exactly what Brian just said, right? And you say if they can tell if you're just big naturally, but then also they look at your ankles. Like a big guy, like when I was recruited, I was like 285 pounds out of high school. But I ran like a 4.78, 4.79 40. So you knew there was speed and quickness, but you saw I have a big frame, but you saw my ankles were thinner. There was no fat on top of it. We saw my calves were no. So that's how they kind of saw like, okay, physically they're going to have room to grow, but they're not going to get fat. Like they'll still be healthy in some senses. So there's like a healthy fat that they add on to because, D lineman, you got to be thick. But as soon as you lose weight, holy shit, right? You start like Joe Thomas, right? Who was the left tackle for Notre Dame and then became one of the best all time for the Browns, right? He lost a shit ton of weight, but it looks natural. Like he doesn't have extra flap. He's just a big guy.
He looks so jacked right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So sorry. I just want to throw it in there. Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, man. And the thing is, don't get me wrong. Like I let's just be real about one thing. Like, because like Willie brought up, like the traits men need, like being a provider, being a good communicator, being a problem solver, being like a killer in the sack. Some areas will offset others more. So, like, if you're an Uber provider, like you're a super provider, you're super wealthy. Trust me, there are going to be lots of women that overlook the fact that you're 400 pounds. Of course.
And those are the women you don't want, anyways. By the way,
you don't want them.
And those are the women you don't want.
You don't want them. However, the reality is, again, back on mental health topic, is there's going to be a part of you that's always going to think, I'm pretty sure she's cheating on me. All the money in the world got you the girl, but that's like, to your point, Willie, like what, like when she sleeps and when she goes to bed with you and sleeps with you, there's got to be a part of her that's like, I'm making a sacrifice. I'm sleeping with this freaking man walrus, right? But the payoff is when he dies at the age of 30, I get all that money. See?
Little does she know it's all in a trust.
Yeah. But while she's but when she's alive, she gets Birkin bags and luxury travel and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. No, you're right, because again, those dudes tend to have to overcompensate somewhere else, and so sometimes they might be like really like givers and all that, and it's just such. And in fact, I mean, a little off topic, but overweight women tend to also compensate. Like they tend to be very giving. This is a wink to a lot of guys out there, because they have to overcompensate for the fact that they don't get the good men. So they got to please them and all that. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It just is what it is,
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, I just hope, again, our listeners don't take this offensively. It's just, we do care about your well-being because, your blood pressure, your cholesterol, all that. I mean, every day you live with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, glucose levels, you're taking a day off, right? Of your lifespan. It's not healthy. But number two, have some damn self-respect. And if you address it, you're going to feel much better. And that's the key first step to enhancing your life. Because most of the people that you see are really obese and unhealthy and all that, they're kind of bumps and like they don't really have, a good life or a good career in general. Because the people in my circle that are really high achieving and or are on their way there, right, tend to be fit, right? We all have a regimen with fitness. We eat well, all those sorts. We look at a little Wall Street circle. We tend to be pretty healthy. We take pride in that. Our lunch is kava, not Five Guys. And we do work out. We squeeze a workout in, whether it's the morning, lunchtime, or at night. We tend to throw it in there. But we tend to be happier too, because we're achieving things and we don't have that brain fog. We have energy, and we have the confidence as well to pick our partner as well. But no, so I hope that this helps for people, and physical health does reflect mental health. Now, Jaguar ad. Holy shit. So, hot take. So, if people haven't watched the Jaguar ad yet, please do. It's about 30 seconds. It's become a big
seconds back. Just be warned.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big controversial ad that's gone viral. I mean, my hot take is this. I get where they're coming from, right? They want to, diversify the base of who drives Jaguars, right? I get it. And I agree, it's a bit too white. I get that. The whiteness of who owns Jaguars is pretty much there. But I think there's a better way of doing it instead of just throwing in your face these characters. And then the logo is hideous too, by the way, new logo. So I get what they're trying to do, but the execution was horrific. And I think it's more of a long-term thing, and Jaguar just has a stigma. But I think you're better off focusing on the actual product itself. Like, that's what people care about at the end of the day. Whether you're black, Asian, white, straight, gay, bi, whatever you are, the focus should be more on the product, because people buy the product itself. But then if you want to throw in, more things about diversity, then the driver should be someone of color or someone of X, Y, and Z, right? That's more of the path to go. But that 30-second ad was just so in your face. Yeah. It was, just all over the place. And I think it was just the wrong approach to doing that. And the product wasn't even in the ad. Like, there was no cars at all. They were on couches. All these damn colors was around. I mean, it looked more like an ad for a new bar. Or I don't know what the hell. I mean, there was actually no product, so I don't know what it was.
Well, I mean, that font alone looks like it belongs on a Danish startup that's trying to disrupt the spatula space. Like, that shit was hideous, and I hate it for it. And I found that ad incredibly offensive, because I actually do. I've always loved cars. I've always been something of a car guy. Like, the joke is the only people that drive Jags are the ones that got lost on the way to the Beamer dealership. Okay, and they're
or Aston Martin.
Okay, yeah, but the people who can afford Aston Martins are not even looking at Jags in the first place. But no, like, the whole brand has decades of history of absolute shit. One of my bosses at when I worked for the Navy had an old E-Type from the 60s, the really sexy, kind of like sculpted style that there was all the rage back then. And he said, you go on a road trip, you don't bring any spare parts with you. And I said, why? And he says, because with these old E-Types, whatever you bring with you, that's the part that won't break.
Okay.
It's the complexity. To a certain extent, the complexity is unavoidable, all right? Especially now with emission requirements, etc. Not the point. The point is that literally almost every other luxury car brand manages to build something that doesn't suck, and it still meets all the legal requirements. Like, I don't know, Lexus, BMW.
Hey, shout out Lexus.
shout out to Lexus. My mom had Lexuses, whatever the hell the plural is, for years, and she loved it. And it was for the exact same reason I just mentioned. It's luxurious, and it doesn't cause you a headache to maintain.
It's a quality car. It's a product. It doesn't matter. Like, I own a Lexus, but I have friends that are black, gay, straight, whatever, like, and all those sorts. But we all own Lexuses. But I never looked at it as like this is a I have to buy this because of this stigma. Like, no, I just like it because I know it's going to last 300,000 miles.
Yeah,
It still has that luxury stamp on it,
yeah.
and all sorts of things.
And
So,
guess
I mean,
what? Toyota's secrets to reliability are public knowledge. They have been for decades. There's even a book called The Toyota Way that describes it. So obviously the knowledge is out there. But yeah, you're right. Like, what the hell are they trying to say? Like, I would personally buy a Beamer because what I want it to say about me is that I don't use turn signals. But you know, if
turn signals are overrated.
turn
They're
signals
for,
is
they're
just
for the
more
they're for the
propaganda.
poor. They're for the poors, Willie.
Good for the poors. You're right. They cut down the aerodynamics of my SUV. Now I don't know what the hell Jag were thinking. It's going to sound really cruel, and I don't care. I really, really hope it bites them in the ass. Like I hope they go the way of Nissan, and I hope they fold because at some point you're trying to be so inclusive that you're actually insulting the people that would be your customers.
Well, Willie, you hit it right there, the nail on the head about insulting your customers, but not just your customers, the entire auto buying population. Because do you guys? Okay, this is the kind of logic they employ in this. And do you guys remember like? There's certain ads you would see, and I remember once when I lived in Seattle on the buses, back when I was broke and I'd always take the bus. There would be this advertisement. It was for like the homeless newspaper publication, and it
Mm-hmm.
would just show like a really like a homeless guy just with just palms out, wanting money. But it says, "Can you just skip the latte today and just donate money?" And I was like, you see, you don't insult your audience like that. It
Yeah.
said you say something like, for just $5 a week you could help blah blah, like something, like that. You don't insult people because now they're like, I'm like, no, I'm not going to give to you, and fuck that, I'm going to order 2 lattes today. You know what I mean?
Thank you for guilting me into recognizing the error of my ways. Fuck them.
Yeah, I have, and I had some colleagues. I remember social media. This is during the whole Keystone Pipeline protests and all that, and they kept reposting. Although there was a lot of misinformation in it, I won't even get into that. But the way they kept trying to get people like me to be on board was saying like, I have friends that probably won't even read this because you're all too busy in your own little world. And then I'm like, you're right. I'm not going to read this. You dumb shit. You know what I mean? But that's the whole thing that irritates me is you don't insult and mock the people that are watching this ad like that.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that there's a cynical side of me that thinks they made this to get mocked and ridiculed. So they could be like saying, so they could say,
Mission accomplished.
we're trying to make the world a better place, but all of you are evil. You're bad. But which is great if you're running a nonprofit or something, because you ain't gonna see no profit. But in this situation, look, and you guys know this. I've said that. I've made a comment in the past. Like, I would love to get a Jaguar F Type, top of the line, once I'm all done with my Beamer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want that anymore. Well, first of all, they're probably not going to make this. They're definitely not going to make the same F Type V8s and all them because they're going all electric. But I was like, dude, now it's like by association. I don't want to be involved in that. And for the record, I'm not saying it's not that I'm against like the inclusivity aspect. Willie touched on the fact that you said you're a car guy. You know me, man. I was a car guy.
Oh yeah.
What do we buy into? You buy into what the car company represents because you want a piece of it. Do you guys remember that scene in Ford versus Ferrari when John Bernthal, freaking amazing actor,
Yep.
and he says like Ferrari represents victory at Le Mans. Customers, when they buy a Ferrari, they want a piece of that victory, right?
Yep.
That's what it is. They want that victory. They want what it stands for. Aston Martin's James Bond,
Yep.
very suave, very masculine. That's why people want it. A few years back, Jaguar did a great commercial with those British actors, Ben Kingsley, Tom Hiddleston, Mark Strong. Were like the guys who are always known for playing bad guys. So they did the reverse James Bond. They're like, why do British men like James want Jaguars? Because they're good villain cars, and they played it up. They hammed it up really good. And I was like, that is a brilliant commercial. That's going against the grain.
Yep.
But I thought it was brilliant advertising. Now, to Willie's point though, Jaguar does not have a great reputation for reliability.
No.
But they used to be advertised in the 60s, right, as being like the other car. But you know what they're really saying? It's, oh, this isn't the car you go home to all the time. It's the other
Yeah,
car. They
the rest
only
is
take
so
out on the
good.
weekends. Right. You know what they're really trying to say. But it was a different type of masculinity back then, and men were just like, yeah, I do deserve a second car, right?
Right.
Well, but
And this,
they've actually managed to do something right. I mean, they did the XJR from 98 or 99 to 2003, 370 horse. Correct me if I'm wrong. 370 horsepower, supercharged V8. Like, was it the fastest thing in the world? No, but it also weighed 2 tons and was wrapped in like 6 cows worth of leather. But just the goddamn sound of that thing uh, was enough. Like, Vin likes the V8 in his Lexus. Imagine that little growl with the supercharger whining when you hit the gas. The XJ220 was too fat for the circuit, but looked the business. Like they are capable of doing decent work as a manufacturer. It's like what the hell's happened? Like you mentioned Ford versus Ferrari. I mentioned the line from Sin City where was the big ogre guy, his segment.
Oh,
Modern cars, they all look like electric shavers, and it's kind of true. Like you're just getting homogenized, and the only people who are losing are the people that want to spend money on your crap.
yeah.
yeah, and another perspective too is, what they were trying to do is going to backfire on that movement and trying to progress forward. Like, I told you guys with like the fat shaming and and how they want to capture the movement of like the whole racism and equal rights and all that. It's like, no, like you're fat, like you're just fat. You weren't born that way and all this kind of stuff. Same thing with this ad with Jaguar, right? I get the purpose of what they're trying to do, and I agree that yeah, we should be more inclusive in general, overall. Like we should do that, but there's a better approach to it. It's more of a subtle way. I mean, you guys know, we have a firm, and I've been doing it for a while that does political campaigns and all that sort of thing. So advertising, branding, all that. What would have been better was you talk about inclusive. It'd be a cool ad in where you have multiple guys or women, right? And it is the weekend. Imagine the first part you see a black man grabbing his keys, a white man grabbing his keys, Asian guy grabbing his keys, and they're all friends and all that. And then it's like a 3 split screen, and they're starting their cars and they go drive and they're going to meet somewhere, and it's like a certain lifestyle, right? But like it's in there without shoving it in your face. It's all about the quality of the car and the experience that the car gives you, right? That is what should be done. Something like that. Like that is to me what's more important, um, and what can push that narrative forward of inclusivity, right? Again, which I'm all for, is just I think the execution could have been better. It's about the product, it's about the car, and it's about your friends and the people around you and the family and the experience of it. But a lot of these folks are trying to do, and I talk to them, right? I said, you guys are too short-term mindset, and you're too in your face with things, right? Is that you have to do it in a more strategic way to get your message across, to get to that step of more inclusivity. And again, which I agree, we need to be more inclusive. There's still many steps forward that we need to meant to do to be more inclusive in many ways in this world, and stop all the hate and all that. But there's a better approach to it.
Sometimes when you try to be too inclusive, you actually accomplish the opposite because you're too heavy-handed in one direction, and by some strange contradiction, you end up excluding literally everybody else. Okay, I'll give you a quick example. Like, for my licensure, every year every 2 years I got to keep up with like education units. I got to continue my training so I don't fall behind on stuff. But I had like this training recently. It's like a 6-hour training, and they give examples. And so sometimes I might say like two coworkers, two couples, things like that, right? In the example, literally every single couple in it except one was homosexual couple. Okay, LGBT couple. But that's what I mean. It's like literally like there was like let's say 10 examples, nine of them were LGBT couples. Mostly men, two men, right?
Yeah.
And the thing was that is not actually representative if you showed like a diverse mixture, right?
Mhm.
Um, like in terms of like maybe like uh hetero couple, but they're both different ethnicities, different religions, and all that. It's like, oh, okay, that actually is the norm, right? Again, you could show two dudes, two ladies, but the thing is, it's nothing but. That's what I mean. And
Mhm.
so part of me is just like, this isn't what I see every single day. You know what I'm saying? But I see why they're doing it. But the approach they took actually became more exclusive because you're just like, wow, that one hetero couple in this whole training, they really bucked that trend, huh? Yeah,
Yeah.
They're the
you know what I'm saying?
anti-Disney.
Yeah,
Yeah, because end of
they're
the
the
day,
outlier.
yeah, because being inclusive means integrating in society without any thought of it, right? It's like, oh, you're Asian, you're black, oh, you're gay. No, it's about just all of us living together peacefully, and being integrated into society. And
Hmm.
that's what I mean by these ads or these movements is it's show people just living together and enjoying that product or whatnot. And yes, we do need programs. I agree with that drive inclusivity because we need to address that in the corporate world and all that kind of thing. But don't make it so heavy one side, like you said. It's about integration, not
Yeah,
about forcing. It's you got to integrate, but not just shove it in someone's face or
yeah.
forcing it.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Some ads kind of have to be targeted. Like, let's say you're an American car company, but you're targeting like the Asian audience, like in, let's say, in China,
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Vietnam. But that's totally different. That's
Yeah,
yeah,
because those countries aren't as diverse, right? So it
yeah.
makes
They're not
total
America.
sense.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
true melting pot is America.
exactly.
yeah. They don't have that. So it's totally different. But in this situation, you're releasing something that, I mean, listen. This is one of those times where, one of the very few times where I'm gonna be like all for the comment section because they actually represent what most of America was thinking. Like it was like that freaking do you guys remember The Simpsons when the Mr. Plow episode where Homer
Oh
like
God, yeah,
he hires the company to do the commercial, and it's like some was it like a French style commercial, makes no sense whatsoever,
yeah,
and the whole family's like, what the hell was that, right? It's
yeah.
like, it's
Funny
like, Dad.
what are that black and white Art Nouveau shit? Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a line to walk. I mean, this commercial, this Jag commercial, the people in it that I'm gonna unlovingly refer to as the Jagoffs. It reminds me of the series of Chevy commercials where that one guy with a thick Boston accent makes fun of it, and they saw if car commercials were honest. And,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, they have like every millennial stereotype
yeah,
possible in that ad. Uh, Honestly, and this is just me being an idiot. Like, I think the best spots, and I can't call them commercials. If you just look at it from an audiovisual piece of artwork that is targeted toward a specific demographic that will respond to it. Okay, mouthful of words. The best example of that is probably the old Top Gear series, the season 13 finale, the Aston Martin V12. I think it was the Vantage. Sorry, the V12 Vantage. So itty bitty little car, fat fucking donk of an engine, and it's like 4.5 minutes of the most beautiful cinema you'll ever see. Like if you target something like that to car people who would be interested in that, number one, you're gonna have to sell the car with a box of Kleenex because it's incredibly emotionally moving. But number two, there's just something about the way cars used to be marketed. You mentioned Ford versus Ferrari. I will mention one of my favorite egotistical jackasses of all time at Data Bugatti, uh, who basically, like, well, if you can afford my car, you can afford to keep it housed. You can afford to maintain it. Like, otherwise, you don't deserve it. Like, there's this mentality of, you're here. That's why you have this, and none of that was done with this, postmodern like forced diversity crap. It was the product speaking for themselves, and if you're into that, then you understand, and if you're not going to get it, and that's fine. You're not supposed to get it. You're not supposed to be the Joe Schmo that understands why Pagani Huayra is one of the most sexual cars ever built. You know, and I think a lot of this, I just put it back on the manufacturers. Like, if you try to be everything to everybody, you're just going to piss off everybody, and no one's going to want your crap, and you're going to go hopefully the way of Nissan.
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about forcing things. You guys see, what was it, a school in New York? I saw somewhere. I think I sent it to you guys. Hillside Elementary School, elementary, right? They're they're launching a curriculum said about gender identity curriculum for kindergartners, kindergartners, right? And it says children will be taught about gender identity, pronouns, and other gender ideology vocabulary such as was it cisgender? What the hell is that?
That means your brain matches your plumbing.
Okay.
You
Transgender,
are you are cis.
and non-binary. So, this is crazy. I'm reading here right now. Listen to this. If I got an email from my school with this, I will lose my shit. Says our gender curriculum focuses on Hillside's core value of respect and aims to center discussions on gender identity. The students will learn and discuss that there is a lot you can't tell about a person by simply looking at them. The students will look at pictures of children and talk about what they notice and what they think they know about the children just from the pictures. Using their observations, we will then take the opportunity to introduce vocabulary to describe characters of different identities in a developmentally appropriate way. This is kindergarten, by the way, and objectives are identify is entity is who you are. People express their identity in different ways. Identity includes your gender and pronouns that you use. All people should be treated with respect, since there is no right or wrong way to be any gender. As we learn and grow, the words we use to describe our gender identity can grow too. All kinds of people live in Hastings and bring value to our community. This is some bullshit. Listen,
I
I'm
mean,
all
you
about.
gotta treat people with respect, but Jesus Christ,
No, I
kindergarten?
agree. Like all about like we should respect people no matter what, right? I agree with that. Respect and caring and not judging all that kind of stuff. But for a how old is a kindergartner? A kindergarten is like
Like
what?
5 or 4 or something like that.
Right. And to me, this is just taking it way too far. They're kids,
I
right?
couldn't tell colors apart in kindergarten, let alone genders.
Right. And this is this is what's causing so much division in society. And it's like, just let kids be kids, right? And my son plays with the Barbie doll doesn't mean that he identifies as a fucking girl. Like, he's just playing with toys, right? And I think parents need to teach respect just in general. But for someone to get offended by, oh, not my pronoun, that fuck you. Like, in my opinion, that's just ridiculous, right? It's like, just call me by my name. My name is Vin or Mr. Vong or whatever you want to call me, right?
Master,
But I'm not
Master.
right, but I'm not going to get offended, and if you call me wrong pro. But I don't have a pronoun; it's my name, and this is who I am. But I don't know. It's just a total mindfuck of stupidity that I'm trying to digest, especially with kids at that age. And I think you're just putting a bad precedent on kids' mind. You talk about mental health, Brian, right? For these kids, at that age or just anything under 18 years old, they're still figuring out life, right? And especially at K to 5, they figure out numbers, basic, arithmetic, colors, dinosaurs, and
Dinosaurs.
and all this stuff, right? And they're just playing with their friends, and just let them play, right? Let them just be kids. Yes, teach them respect, but to take it to, make sure you call the right pronoun, like, what the fuck, man? Like, they're just kids. Like, I want them just to play outside, just come back before dark, and get your homework done, and have a diverse set of friends. All that. Like, okay, but to push this, curriculum or agenda down is just absolutely outright just bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, sometimes you see a decision that's made, and when you break it down, right, like you can kind of see the why behind it. But where the disagreement comes in is how they did it. And so it's like everything you said, like accepting, having a group of diverse friends, acknowledging, listening to different points of view. I don't think most people would disagree with any of that. But if you forced someone to do it the way you think, that's where people have a problem, especially considering this country. There's this freedom of choice, a lot of freedoms that we have that we hold really, really dear, right? And so people don't like to have something crammed down their throat and said you have to do it this way in this for the sake of inclusion and all that. And sometimes I also think like sometimes there's this illusion of choice, right? Including like how you identify things like that. And I remember, Willie probably remembers this. When we were freshmen, there was that Asian
Well,
troop.
first years now, freshman is considered sexist. Sadly, I'm not joking, but
I'm sorry,
Oh God.
fresh people year.
fresh people, we're fresh princes.
But there was that Asian American troupe, comedy improv troupe.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They were hysterical.
Yeah, it's just that there was one thing I remember being a little confused about, and I bought their T-shirt to help them with their funds and all that, but it said like the Asian is not Oriental, and
Yeah,
can you explain that to me? And they said, well, Oriental is a derogatory term and all that, and I was like,
It
I
But
literally
but
just
meanwhile,
means-
you'll ride the Oriental Express or stay at the Mandarin Oriental.
I mean, Latin, it just means Eastern, just like
yeah,
Yeah,
Orientalis,
I
Orientalis.
as, as someone who's Asian, okay, fine, all right, yeah, okay.
right. That was my point. I was like, I'm not offended by that, but then you have certain other people at that school because Willie and I bonded because we went to an incredibly liberal university. But
Yeah, we fit in very well.
but the thing was, I didn't see it. Again, I bought their T-shirt. I supported them. I still, well, I don't have it anymore. It's like 2 sizes too small now. But the idea, I was like, my problem was that like, are you telling me to be offended? Like, are you giving me some identity to be offended about? Because I'm really not upset about it. You know what I mean? Like shit. Like you said, like it just means east. Like we went to Occidental University, literally
Yeah.
means west.
Yeah.
So by that logic, that would be offensive. You see? And so this is the problem I had. I brought up in the past about like in this day and age, we can identify so many different ways beyond how we're born, how we're taught by our parents, for example.
Yeah,
how
identify
we're
as fuck off.
You know,
My
but
program,
like,
Hmm.
but the thing is, with 100 new identities comes 100 more reasons to be offended.
Mhm.
If you let it, I mean, if you have what we've talked about numerous times in this podcast about if you have an external locus of control, you're gonna all this stuff affect you, right?
Yeah.
Like that. And so like the problem going back to the Jaguar commercial now is like, again, you guys heard like the branding officer come out defend it. He doubled down by saying like, if you don't like it, it's because you're an ignoramus and all this stuff.
We don't like it because it's bullshit. It's garbage.
It's like your job is to create something that invokes feeling in marketing that gets people to potential buyers. Because let's be real now, it's like in Mad Men when Don Draper says like, I don't sell advertising, I sell products. I make a good marketing campaign. Your product sells. I sell products. Last I checked, and you guys are the finance guys here. You correct me if I'm wrong, but last time I checked, marketing and advertising was meant to make money, right?
Yeah, you better get a return on investment on that ad.
Boy, Vin loves marketing departments.
Oh, God.
So it's like let's take identity, DEI, and all that out of this. If you're promoting a product, right?
Mhm.
In this case, a luxury product, because while, like you mentioned, Will, like Jaguar is like the step before Aston Martin, and
Yeah.
Aston Martin's like that next step up. Like an Aston Martin, it's like almost twice as much as a Jag, right? And it's fine. It has a heritage. It's good for them, right?
Mhm.
But no one's gonna say Jags are cheap, okay? And especially in an economy like we have now, so you're pushing a luxury product, but you're isolating the scope. You're like the original crowd that would buy it, who had money.
Yeah.
You're like, we don't want you no more. We don't want you anymore. We don't want like that sort of James Bond crowd anymore, right? We want this crowd who historically, unless I'm wrong, and someone who knows the strategy and like the stats behind it, please tell me, does that group purchase luxury go fast automobiles? I don't know. I thought Teslas and Subarus were like the big
Claw.
right? I mean, if you're
Yeah.
going to go by demographic, you see, but in this case, like I said, you're isolating. At least Subaru was smart, where they covered like outdoors people,
Yep.
they covered commuters. They were smarter with their stuff, right? That's all I'm saying. It's from a strictly advertising point of view. Was that the best course of action if you're a shareholder?
No.
See, because again, we have to look at it. I know we cover mental health a lot, but we also we have to be realistic, right? Again, that's why I default to you guys with this. You're the finance guys, like you're if you were a shareholder, you're just like, why are you catering to 1% of the population?
Because if the 1% of the population is the one that's actually going to buy your product. Yeah, if you try to be strong everywhere, you're weak everywhere. And you brought up, Subaru, I think, is actually a great counterpoint, because there's something ish, and that asterisk merits some discussion. There's something ish for everyone. The outdoors aspect was fantastic. I love my Outback. I beat the hell out of that thing off road. You could wash that car with rocks and it wouldn't complain. The WRXs and the now unfortunately named STI. None of the Subarus that I've ever been in or driven or owned or whatever, none of them were the best in their category. Like, I would never take my old Outback over a 4Runner for going off-roading. I would never take it over a Jeep for rock crawling. Are you fucking stupid? No. But you knew exactly what you were getting, and you knew exactly where the limitations were. And I think that isn't just part of it is their marketing. Yeah, like the WRXs were always the rally car, the sportier version. Now they have the
the Subaru always had the second best rally car behind Mitsubishi.
Wow. Okay, you can go fuck yourself. Reese Millen, I agree with you, but not the point. But you always had these sharp delineations, and I think even with other luxury brands like BMW, I keep going back to. Okay, all together, class. What is BMW? What is BMW's tagline? The ultimate driving machine. Yeah, it doesn't. They don't advertise as the ultimate reliability machine. They don't advertise as the ultimate luxury machine. No, they have a very specific brand identity. They're very hyper focused, and you know exactly what you're getting when you buy the product. Jag, honestly, this abomination of a commercial is just the last nail in a long line of nails into the coffin of them not knowing what the fuck kind of company they want to be. Who are you catering to? If you just want to cater to the people that can't reach an Aston yet, that's fine. Go for it. I mean, playing off your point, Subaru rally cars always cater to the people that couldn't drive Evos. But at least if you're comfortable with it and you can back it up and you're consistent, that's where you win. Why are Toyota so dominant? Because they made a name for themselves on reliability, on ruggedness, not in the off-road sense, but in the sense of your car is not going to fall apart if you look at it wrong. Why is the Camry so popular? Because it's the Japanese salaryman's car. Why is Lexus so popular amongst certain demographics? Because it's quiet luxury. It's the stealth wealth that Vin mentions. And it's true. And it's like, but if you don't draw your sandbox, then your sand's just going to go everywhere. And this is what you end up with.
Do you guys think there's talk about conspiracies. I feel like there's an outside group that is trying to divide our country by pushing all this stuff and driving mental health crisis.
All right, sounds interesting.
You know what I mean? I feel like because America is such a big melting pot, right? I mean, we're very unique compared to other countries. I mean, we are probably the most diverse country, right? You got everyone here, melting pot, and we're accepting everyone. Don't get me wrong, we have our problems, right? I mean, we able to pamphlet of some companies. You're like, this is way too damn white. It's like there gotta be some more, some more
Mercedes,
color, some more color in here. But I feel like some of these extremes that are happening. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, probably like complacency and all that. But I'm not believing in this, everyone. I'm just throwing a conspiracy theory out there because I think it's fun. But I feel like there's like a coordinated effort between our adversaries overseas that are testing the waters through social media and other things to try to divide us and try to poke the bear a little bit, right? Because the biggest thing is strategy to break a country or organizations from the inside out, right? So if you can invoke hate or division or arguments amongst the inside out, that's how you can take them down. So some parts of me just kind of go, I feel like there's some adversaries out there that are taking the advantages that we have and exploiting it and making it a bigger deal than it really is. Again, I'm saying, look, we have our issues we have to address, right? With inclusion and everything. But I just feel like there's some things where it's like, come on. And it could be within the country. There could be a small group within the country that is, that's trying to, create devices. But again, not trying to evoke any conspiracies or just a thought.
Guys, I would say it's like this. See, a lot of my constituents, like when you study psychology and all that, a lot of them did it for the purpose of becoming a clinician. Initially, that's not why I went to grad school. I actually initially was thinking more like marketing, things like that, with the power of influence of what you know about the human mind and things like that. But then I pivoted, However, that kind of thing always fascinated me, the power of influence and psychology and how it relates to each other, right? But I have to admit, it's like if let's hypothetically, let's say some developing country hired me to be like, and I'm not saying I'm so amoral that I would do this, but let's say they told me we need to make everybody turn on a specific group. What do you suggest we do? Well, first of all, I'd be like, well, don't do what the Nazis did and all that. What you do is you do the opposite. You do the complete opposite. You take them and you put them on a pedestal, and you oversaturate the market. Look how great this group is. Look how big. Look how awesome the Greens are over here. The Greens are great. All of you need to accept the Greens. You have to be in favor of them, or else you're a bigot. And at some point, we're just like, I love those guys. What are we talking about? Yeah, but you don't love them enough. It's like,
yeah.
I want your kids to study this. It's like, I don't want them to focus on anything else, just the Greens over here, right? At some point, the people are gonna be like, dude, what about me? What about him? What about her? Like, we're people too, right?
Yeah.
But we've suffered as well. That's all I'm saying. And you know what the sad part is? Who never asked for any of this? The fucking Greens.
Yeah.
They never asked for any of that. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, we love living life with our neighbors here. We are good, man. And so that's why I always ask, whenever your own people are shown in a light where it's meant to be, oh, look how great they are. Look how great the Cubans are. Look how great the Vietnamese people are. But it's so heavy-fisted and you're just kind of cringy. Like, you're looking around and going, I didn't ask for this shit. It's probably not good. I think women ran into that with that Avengers movie when that scene, all the female Avengers. I don't know any women that were like, yeah, that was great for us. I don't know any personally that thought that was cool.
I went to see that with one of the most liberal people I've ever met, and she was like, "This is bullshit."
I like Vin. Let me ask you, like at the Marvel, there's like a couple of Asian characters, but if they literally singled out all the Asian characters in this big battle, and they said they're all like Asian power, I don't know about you, but I would.
I just threw up inside.
I would get up in front of the auditorium and be like, I'm sorry, I didn't vote on this. I didn't vote on this shit. I did not want this. I'm not in favor of this. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I think some people are, it's almost like you're like, again, Vin, no one's ever accused me of being a conspiracy theorist, man. I don't like that label, but like, I can't help but think somebody, again, like what I said, like, if you had to make someone look bad, that's how you do it.
But I feel like every conspiracy theory has some truth in it, though. Like,
sadly, yes.
Yeah, there's some little truth. Because let's be honest. I mean, look, as someone who's in politics and someone who has a interesting background in crisis management and all that, before the beauty of full finance and some politics, but I mean, there are social media. The problem with social media is that if you use it well, it is easy to manipulate the public. And I feel like there's a lot of domestic terrorist groups that have used it. I mean, there's foreign groups like Russia and China and Iran have used it. They are using it. So to your point, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, those are tactics. that they use, right?
You know, and yeah,
And that's the problem. So I mean, everyone has their phones on them. There's so much accessibility. There's so much easy swiping and viewing stuff, and it is tremendously easy,
So
right? And you don't need much. You just need a computer, a little bit of cash, understanding how the algorithms work, and you can push certain things. And and I think that's the big part of the debate today, which disinformation and social media and who controls what. Um, but end of the day, I think it starts with the foundation of at home growing up, like society, right? It's educating people to be able to think for themselves, to validate or to double check sources and information, and to think for yourself. I think that's the problem. Is everyone is trying to grasp to something, trying to rely on others for it. It's like, no, try to think for yourself a little bit and try to kind of go, oh, okay, that sounds like every time I see a headline, right? And the source is coming, this source kind of seems a little weird. Let me double check it, right?
Yeah.
And if multiple sources confirm, okay, fine, right? That's why you see a lot of headlines, multiple sources confirm, right?
Yeah.
That's when but we have some random Twitter account that just because they have 100,000 followers, you gotta go.
they're all
Seems a little right. You kind of
Right.
go, that's a little interesting. Let me double check that, right?
And for the listeners here, it should be noted that we come from backgrounds where the stuff we do is quite literally fact checked. Like any stats that are given you guys, I always make it a point to let the listeners know, like, this is actually part of like peer reviewed articles and journals, which means it goes through a very, very rigorous standard to make sure like this is not biased
and a
or anything like
refereed
that.
journal, Brian.
Yeah.
I would add that, because peer review is not always enough. If you have a predatory journal, the pay to plays. But yeah, you're absolutely right, and it has to be refereed. And honestly, I'll just tell people, if it's not peer reviewed and refereed, it's not science. So go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and I definitely something I have to add, because I know we're winding down, but like one thing I have to add to
Are we? I'm joking.
It's just because
I'm just getting warmed up.
Yep.
one of the things that like for me, like I want people to make is that distinction, because what I just said about like with these people pushing out these agendas and all that, don't fall into that trap of then treating your colleagues and friends that are, for example, part of the LGBT population like shit, because they didn't ask for any of this, and it hurts my heart, because I've worked with lots of LGBT clients, a lot of transgender clients, especially in the last like 5 years, and they're awesome people, they're bold, beautiful people, and they don't ask for this shit. They want like what like the word equality, like just treat me like everyone else, man. Like they go through life, they got their struggles too, but they're not asking like this whole no, you got to put me, like the spotlight on me, put me on a pedestal, and just me. They're not. That's not what I've witnessed at all. It isn't like this, I'm the only one that could make it to the top of the mountain. No, it's this whole, hey, let's go together, right? And so I put a lot of this on until we find out there's some shadow group. I put it on the advertisers. I put it on these people who run these alleged focus groups or whatever, because it is so out of touch. And I have to just say that, because I don't want people, like I said, like I wouldn't want if like Asians were like portrayed a certain way in media, then they take it out on me. You know what I mean? Like I didn't ask for this shit. I must have missed that shareholder meeting, right?
Well, it's like me with this whole Latinx crap. I guarantee you, there's not a goddamn person in the world that's my shade of brown that thinks Latinx is a good idea.
But you're Latinx.
Get fucked.
It's another identity, right? Just another
How
identity.
dare you? I don't know.
Offended about.
Maybe it's just
yeah.
raised me to be American, because like,
Right.
Here's the culture that we came from, but guess what? We're not in Cuba. We're not in Spain.
Yeah, it's we the people. We are Americans.
Correct.
It doesn't matter what shade you are, what gender you are, who you like, and all that. It's we are American, right? We're here for equal opportunity.
Yeah.
We are here to in search of our life and our life journey. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, look, there's a lot of inclusivity issues that we need to address, but there's better ways of addressing it. But at the end of the day, we are Americans, and I think that's probably one of the biggest missing pieces lately. And I think we need a leader or leaders that can message that appropriately, right? We
Yeah.
need more people that can lead unity and not divisiveness. Um, and that's the problem, is that what Brian said, right? When you have, one group gets too amplified, the other groups feel neglected, and it's like an endless cycle. And that needs to be addressed and hopefully fixed. And it's not like this DEI programs, right? There's a lot of programs now. A lot of these companies are getting rid of DEI programs, and I think initially it was a good idea, but it got carried away, right? And it's all it did was cost too much money and went nowhere. But like, I totally agree. If you have two of the same candidates, same great backgrounds and all that, or one has a slight edge and it was black and a white person, but yet the white person gets picked, it's like, okay, let's see kind of a trend here, right? Let's see. Or an Asian versus a white guy, and the white guy still gets it. Don't get me wrong, like, or their whole board, their whole C-suite is completely white, but yet that other candidates that could have been better. Okay, I kind of see that, right? That needs to be checked and balanced. But some of these other things are just getting a little bit too far. A little bit too much. It's like you should look at literally just the resume and who they are, and that will qualify you for that position or not. So yeah, and I think, I'm not going to say or confirm, but being in politics and knowing where the money goes, there may or may not be some shadow groups out there that do these things. But no, I back to the thing about kindergartners and all that's just too far. Our kids just need to be kids, right? Be kids again. Go outside, ride your bike, play in the dirt,
Scrape your knees.
scrape your knees and just be a kid. And as long as you learn from your parents about respect and doing what's right and all that, they won't care if their friend's black or white or Asian or they're gay or straight.
Yep.
They'll be friends with you because they want to be friends with you. And I think that's the biggest thing is just teaching those core values and just letting them live, right? And then they'll learn for themselves as they go their life's journey about other things. But to force it like that is just complete bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree completely. I think these policymakers need to take a step back. Number one, to pull their heads out of their own asses, but number two, they need to go on one of my favorite subreddits, which is called "Kids Are Fucking Stupid," and they need to kind of familiarize themselves with exactly what is their demographic that they're trying to so-called help. Like, I don't know from a mental health standpoint, but like, what are the long term? What are going to be the long term effects of this? I mean, kids are so formative, and at that age, they're just so goddamn clueless. Like what are you doing? What is the function of this? You should absolutely, and I agree with Vin completely. Absolutely, instill a sense of respect for all people. Instill certain character values that you want. But at least when I was a kid, sex ed wasn't until 5th grade, and that was for a reason.
Right.
It's not developmentally appropriate. It's literally just speaking into the fucking hurricane to try to teach children that are too young certain principles. Like, they are literally not ready to receive the information. Or is this just bullshit virtue signaling to get reelected? I mean, you talk about shadow groups and conspiracies. I mean, that seems like a perfectly good conspiracy to me.
Yeah, I mean, the brains aren't fully developed yet for that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is the concern that I think a lot of people have had, especially parents, only parents really have had, is, for example, the age a person can get gender affirming surgery. When you're talking about, like you said, Vin, like these kids
don't get me started with that.
kindergarten, and they're learning this. The analogy I always give, and Will, I know you can appreciate this, is when I was a kid and it was like career day, and you went before the class and said,
"Oh yeah, yeah."
I said, I want to be a ninja. Now, if you held me to that at that moment, you know what I'm saying? If you held me to that moment, you said, all right, fool, for the rest of the year, you got to wear black freaking costume. You got to wear those little ninja toe shoes and all that. And you wear a mask all the time before, it would be like weird, right?
Yeah.
I would have enjoyed it for the first week. And then I'd be like, God, it's kind of hot in this thing. And it's, it's September, right? That's what I'm saying. Is nobody held me to that. But the thing is, if I decided, you know what, I don't want to be a ninja no more. I want to be a samurai. I could take the ninja outfit off very
Yeah.
easily.
Put on even heavier armor.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? I'm not held to that. I'm not
Yeah.
going to suffer the stick. No one's going to make fun of me saying, ha ha ha, you wanted to be a ninja and now you reverse back to being a regular kid. I'm not going to get that. But
Yeah.
if you do the gender reversal surgery,
Uh,
people are gonna look. Social media is cruel, man. They're gonna be like, "Oh, look at you," because there are people who've been mocked mercilessly.
Yeah.
And again, it's like you're gonna hold someone to this decision. Again, I should be
Yeah.
known. I'm not against the surgery. I'm just
Oh, I
you
am.
have to do it
I'm
as an
absolutely against
adult.
it.
in
That's
case
the
there was
bull-
ever any doubt, Brian, as
No.
where Vince stands on this.
It's
No.
just my attitude is if you're a grown adult, you got certain decisions you can make, but at kids, damn, you know, as a child, that's
The
just
child doesn't know. Yeah, it's. I agree.
for
I
children.
That's why I'm so against it. Look,
Yeah, no, that's
okay,
what I'm saying. That's what I'm
right.
saying.
I mean, let me take a quick pause. I don't believe in it. I think it's bullshit. You're born a man or a woman, right? And especially when you get to 18, 21 years old, right? You don't know what the fuck you want yet, right? You're still figuring things out. Like even through your 20s, you're still figuring out things, right? And so especially under 18, bullshit. No, you're not transition. I mean, you don't know you have to wipe your ass yet.
I think by 18 they should know how to wipe their ass, man.
Yeah,
We
but
don't all have bidets.
yeah, it's like, oh no. So I totally disagree with that. But it's a free country, and people have the right to do what they want as long as not harming others. I get it, right? So if they want to do gender switching, go ahead, right? It doesn't affect me. I support it, right? Even though I disagree with it, I support it. But as long as I don't fucking pay for it,
Yep.
that's another key too, right? It doesn't affect me in that other way. You need to pay for yourself. But I have the right to get paid to pay for that. Fuck you, no, you don't. If
Yeah.
you get gender affirming consent, then I want a surgery of like I don't know, I don't need surgery, but
Fucking hand.
then I want something too. But like that's what you said. Back to the point, right? That's what starts creating more hate because then go, they're able to get covered for this. Wait, how come I get covered for this? Like a veteran who doesn't have enough to to pay for their healthcare or get good healthcare, right? Meanwhile they serve the country, get their arms blown off, but they get shitty surgery. But yet this person can get gender affirming, gender care. So that's my point, right? It's
once
like
again,
yeah.
again, putting that special spotlight on one group,
Exactly.
but no one else.
Yeah, so it's like again,
Yes.
I disagree with it, right? But you have the right to do what you want to do, but you deal with it yourself. You pay for yourself. You deal with it yourself, and you need to have a disclaimer that you used to be someone, a certain gender you're dating. Anyways, but
Yeah, listen.
That will do this, the push to have this done without parental knowledge.
Right.
Like, yeah, you're 18. I don't give a shit. You can have the right to do whatever you want. I, as your parent, have the right to be disappointed in your choices, just as my parents were disappointed in mine. But when you are under 18, no, you are my property if you're my kid. And if this got done and I were a parent, I would end up on the news. But regardless of whether or not I agree with it, not relevant. Like
there's got to be, there's got to be a strange, like logic behind the fact that if you're under 17, you can't watch a rated R movie in the theater because a tit pops out.
Yeah, you're under 16, you can't drive.
But you can go get surgery to get titties.
Right. I mean, that's the thing, though. Yeah.
Look in the mirror.
I mean, those are great points, right? I mean, you can't get a license until you're 16.
Yeah.
You can't drink alcohol until you're 21, or buy alcohol. Sorry. You can't. All these different.
Wink, wink.
Oh yeah. So you can't do all these things. So it's like, what is going on?
Because
and again,
responsibility. Society has decided that you are not responsible enough to drive until you're 16.
Yeah, and you're not responsible enough to choose if you want to cut your dick off or not. Like that's some bullshit. It's like. And again, and society forcing these things on these kids, right? Whether it's this stupid ass curriculum, right? Or, this pressure on, oh, you're playing with a Barbie doll. Maybe you're a woman. No. Right? This is where people got to stop this bullshit. And I am shaming all these people for this. I'm fat shaming as well as I'm this gender, whatever pronoun shaming as well. right? For people on you, like again, once you're adult, okay, right? If you identify that, fine, that's fine, but don't also pressure me or shame me for accidentally like I don't know. Like to you, you are Mr. Costa, Mr. Doe, right? Or I'm Mr. Vaughn, right? Or I'm Vin, you're Willie, you're Brian, right? Fine. But don't get offended with like I just asking for your name, right? And so it's like people stop getting fucking butthurt over this type of shit and like get your life in order, right? Like there's clearly something missing in your life for you to get this fucking irritated about these things, right? And
Yep,
and
that's
it,
what it is.
and it's just sad, right? Because you know, was that what Brian says in past episodes? There's clearly something missing. There's a purpose missing. There's some other trauma or these sorts of things that are causing this. And you know, and then again, like for these next generation of kids, like these kids shouldn't suffer from all this stuff, right? Because again, as a kid, you know, they're vulnerable, right? So they just need to have support. They need to play with their dinosaurs or dolls, or need to figure out basic arithmetic and all that, and you know, and all these types of things. Just let them be kids and let them grow up. But there should be none of this societal pressure or all these types of things that shape their mind at such a young age, right? To me, that's fucking brainwash, and that needs to not happen.
Cruelty to the kids.
It is. You know, you talk about animal cruelty. It's children cruelty.
Oh,
It's child cruelty, and it's not fair to them.
Yeah, I mean, look, people read into these things way too much. Full confession, and if someone's got a problem with it, I'll fight them. I don't give a shit. I loved Barbies when I was a kid. It had nothing to do with wanting to be a girl and everything.
Yeah, that's because you wanted to fuck them.
That was later. No, the fucking girl dolls were all sparkly and shit. Like, you're attracted to bright, shiny objects. What the hell do you think is going to happen when you give some autistic kid like me a bunch of shiny shit? Oh, glitter. Of course. Like, that didn't mean that I was confused. Like, how much of this is just stupid adults projecting their own idiocies onto innocent children and completely misinterpreting, you know, what it is that they think they see?
Yeah. Let kids be kids. Support them. Love them. Period. Right? That's your job as a fucking parent. And if you're not their parent, fuck off. Right? And if you're a teacher, your job is to teach. Right? Your job is not to go, oh, maybe you should do this and fuck your parents. Like, no. like you're the teacher, right? Now, unless you see something legitimate, like the kid's getting abused and all that, okay, then you maybe should try
That's different, though.
Right. That maybe you should report that.
Yeah.
But you as a teacher, you need to teach whatever you're teaching: chemistry, math, art, whatever the hell it is. You shouldn't interject with your fucking personal beliefs and your own personal fucking issues because you're miserable living with 30 cats and you want to transition. Like, no, right? You need to be the teacher. That's your responsibility. And the parents, your job is to be a great parent, be in their lives, support them, provide for them, and all that. And I think there's just so many people, so many adults that just are fat as fuck, or they're just missing purpose in their life, and they're trying to project that to others. And it's like, no, deal with your issues, right? Go see a therapist. Go figure it out. Go to the gym.
Look.
Go to the gym. You know, all these types of things, right? And it just irritates me that there's other victims being created by other victims are falling into this trap. So for those listening, don't fall victim. You know, live your life, live your purpose, go to the gym, don't be fat fucks, and you know, just support one another, be a good friend, you know, and all that, and just I don't know, it just drives me nuts. And to me, you know, this whole thing we just talked about is the same as feeding a kid, you know, Twinkies every day, you know, same thing. So it's child cruelty. But yeah, so that's I set my piece there. I just think, you know, we can do better as society, and I hope that this period of time we're going through, this I call it a crisis, gets, you know, resolved here soon. And all these, you know, fuck faces get, you know, destroyed or whatever. I don't know. I think a lot of these people have, like Brian said earlier, they have, you know, most of them probably have they come from a good place. In general, is just they just need to get their own. They just need to focus on themselves first, right? Because clearly they're doing this for something that they're lacking.
And for all the people out there that fall into the category I'm talking about, where you're just like, dude, I didn't ask for this. I just want to live my life. I love everybody, and I just want to be loved. My heart goes out to you if you're experiencing hate because these people put together these wonky agendas that, single you out, and unfortunately not in a good way. I'm sorry. I feel bad for you. Just know that we don't judge you. It's just maybe, but there needs to be better representation, not this way they're doing it. And so, yeah, that's all. I think that's all we're really trying to say.
Yeah, just love, no judgment, and support. Simple as that. But that doesn't mean forcing your own agenda or your
Exactly.
own or your own purpose,
Again,
right?
that's
It's
what I'm
like,
saying. Like those are
yeah,
the people who never asked for any of this.
exactly. Yeah, it's
It's
like if
horrible,
you
man.
guys want to do something, great. I'm not judging you. I love you. You're still my friends. Like, go ahead,
Yeah.
right? But, uh, but, but I have certain beliefs, but I'm not going to force that. I'm expressing how I feel, right, and all that. But I'm also not going to tell you that, oh no, you can't do this, do that, or you should do this. No, is this what our opinion is? Now, if there's certain things like science, like being a fat fuck, then yeah, you need to get your cholesterol in order, your blood pressure in order before you pass over and die. That's something I will give you hell about. But again, that's just basic
There are
facts.
limits to your kindness.
Yes, yeah. Anything else, gents? Before we, I think we had a good
We're
venting
offending enough
session.
people for one episode, yeah.
Yeah. Now, are we done venting? Have we abolished enough nonsense from the past month?
I support your decision, your move to abolish this type of nonsense in advertising, and yeah.
I want to abolish Jaguar.
Oh God, yeah, I agree. Well, they'll probably end up like Nissan here soon. Nissan has what 14 months left in there before they file
No, no, no,
bankruptcy.
no, 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 no. They only have $14 in their bank account.
Oh Lord, that's not good.
Hey, we can always remember how great Nissan was.
1959 Hakoska Skyline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
First, last, and well, no, not the last. The 300Z was that one dashboard you sent me, the 88 300Z with the all green, kind of like Knight Rider-ish interior. That was sexy as hell.
So I have a few questions from our last episode from people. So again, we appreciate all the love and the listeners we're getting as we grow this podcast, as we continue to abolish the nonsense in this world. And bear with us as we get better, because it's only our 6th episode or something. So the feedback's great. The DMs have been great. People have been very, very supportive. And I appreciate all your opinions. There's been positive and negative opinions, because negative ones are probably offended by everything. But some of
we don't offend anyone, Vin.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
So one of the questions, Brian, that they brought up is, we talked about friendship, right? We talked about being honest with one another. And they said, they've been trying to be honest with one of their friends about something serious, but it may jeopardize their friendship. And their question is, should they let it jeopardize their friendship for being honest and helping them? Or should they just kind of let, speak their piece? And if it's not, the friendship departs, then it's just depart. They may not be the real friends then. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
There's a number of things I would ask. One is, are you guys really good friends? 2, why are you friends? Like, what value do you bring to their life? What value do they bring to your life? And is it pretty much equal? And the third would be, this friend that is not taking advices well. What would it cost you to lose their friendship? Because every time, if it's just sentiment alone, that usually means that you're carrying the load for somebody. Your friendship is dependent on you carrying them, and without you, they'll sink, but you're gonna rise. Okay, and so I would ask that first of all. And I have a feeling that the person asking the question, they're asking because deep down they already know this friend is someone that's an anchor in their life and holding them down, or else they wouldn't have this issue. Most times you can phone a friend and say, like, for guys, for example, we could be like, hey, let's go to the gym, dude. And they might be like, I don't know. You just say, come on, stop being a wuss. Let's go. Go, right?
Yeah, stop being a fat ass.
Right? It's pretty simple. Now, don't get me wrong. There's certain things that get tough, like breakups are hard, when you got to support a friend through that. But usually that's something that friends got to do on their own, if we're being honest. No friend is going to single-handedly get you out of that kind of a funk. So yeah, that's what I would say, man. Ask, is a friendship kind of 50-50? Is it 50-50 most of the time? It can't always be 50-50 all the time. That's just how life goes, right? Sometimes you'll be more useful than the other person, and then that role flip. And it's just like, well, again, it goes back to, like, what value do they bring to your life? And what would you lose by having them gone? See, because look, man, sometimes we have childhood friends and then they stay in our childhood. We never see them again. Maybe at the reunion or something like that. Life goes on, and then you go back, and then you'll be rewarded for the fact that you moved on. And you find out that they never changed. They're literally the same spot as when you shook their hand, gave them a hug for high school graduation, right? And you're just like, dude, you haven't changed at all, and that's not a compliment. See, and so I was asked that because a real friend, at some point, is either going to okay, you give advice to a friend, they don't take it well. There's two outcomes. One is just going to be they say f this guy, I don't like him anyway, and then you never see them again. In which case, whatever, man, it sucks at first. And the second is they might see you a year later and say, "Hey, Vin, man, can we get a cup of coffee?" And then they tell you, you know, man, I was so mad at what you said at the time, but I needed to hear that. And I went through some tough times. I realized I should have listened to you sooner, man. And you're one of the real ones. And sometimes you get that delayed gratitude, but you get it, and that's what you can hope for. But don't ever like expect it. It may just be like, "F you, man. You're just jealous." And you're like, "I'm not jealous of the guy I'm giving advice to." You know? But that's just how it is, man. Sentiment can be a bitch sometimes because it holds you back, and you think like, "I owe this guy because he's my friend only." You know?
Yeah.
I mean, look, so that's what I would say.
Yeah. Another question that came in was from a young male. I think he falls under the like the articles like the young men falling behind. And he said, he's doing everything he can, and he's, doing something, right? He's doing something and all that, but he feels like he continues to feel like he's not moving forward, and all that. So, like, what advice would you have for people like that who are doing what they can? They are going to the gym. They have a job, and it's not the best job, but they'll continue to try to improve themselves. Like what advice do you have like for them because they feel like they're still stuck?
Yeah. Oh, it's real simple. A lot of us are visual learners, so I would say to people like that, one, wouldn't be a bad idea to take a break from social media, uh, and just simplify it. Three goals. Three goals. Write that shit up on on a big giant poster or something like that. So you see it every morning when you wake up. You get that daily dose of like just drive because you see it. Okay, make that your focus. Don't deviate from it because these got to be three core um, goals that you want to knock out. So the common ones are make more money, get in better shape, get the women, right? But if you're gonna say that, fine, make that. I would probably make the women the third priority because it's you get the first two, you probably the third one be easier, right? Not the other way. You start at the third, 3, 2, 1, you may broke forever. But like let's say you get in shape, be specific though, because there's levels to this. Let's say let's say you're really skinny. Okay, um, be specific. What is your target weight, and stick to that. And then when you get to that target weight, then you can make changes. But you better celebrate that. You better celebrate that with some kind of ritual. Money. What is it? Do you want a higher paying job, or do you want to be able to save up more money? There's differences. See, and so ask yourself, but stick to that. And I say take a break from social media because, like, let's say your target weight is like 155 pounds, okay, because you're a small guy. Yeah, but then if you're going on, watching like Bradley Martin and all that, and he's 260 pounds, of course you can be like, oh man, I'm not big like him. Yeah, and in all respect to him, Bradley Martin's a good shape guy, but you're not there yet, and so you shouldn't expect that. So stick to your 155. You get to 155, celebrate it, make a target for like 175 or something like that, right? And go for it. But you keep comparing yourself, you're not going to be happy. The money thing, same thing, because you're going to be watching videos on richer men, probably richer people, which you should in a certain sense to get like we're all Warren Buffett fans, right? But we don't feel like shit because we're not gazillionaires. We do it for inspiration. But however, when you're starting out and you're not that disciplined with it just yet, you might be deterred by that. You'll be like, you guys see these guys who are older or younger than you and richer, and you're just like, man, I'm 32 or something. I ain't got that. I ain't done that yet, and that's going to derail you. So I would say, get your goals up there. Stay on social media if it hurts you because you keep comparing yourself to others, but like have reachable targets, hit them, move to the next one, but have your targeted goals and be disciplined with it. Watch our prior episodes on grit, discipline, drive,
Yep.
purpose, you know, having
And
natural supports. We talk about a tribe a lot. Have natural supports. And if you ain't got any, man, maybe you got to relocate or something because, you know, you can't possibly be in a town full of all scumbags.
yep. Willie. So I
Yeah.
had a question on where the hell do you get your Hawaiian shirts? Because they want one.
Amazon. Actually, I think the brand is called She Lucky. As in, she lucky to have you if you're rocking your style like this.
I love that.
But
Well, there you go.
there's
She
also
lucky. Advertise with us. Shout out.
That's true. That's true. Free advertising. But if you are of the geekier variety, I'm looking here. There's actually a website where you can buy. Oh, where the hell is it? There's a website where you can buy Hawaiian shirts that are themed for nerds. So, like science and engineering themed Hawaiian shirts. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find it. But yeah, just
Yep.
go online.
And then one more question was actually to me about being a man whore, which is surprising. There's a lot of them actually. There was multiple questions about that. It was a two-part question. One is there's a two-part because there's a mix of the type of question. But I'll go with the first one. One was, how do you pick up ladies easier, or like what's the secret to the game? Because you guys have asked me before. I have to admit, the amount of partners is a little bit disgusting that I've had over the past decade. It's up there. And I've never had any issues, by the way. No, didn't catch any, stuff. But my advice was just be who you are, be confident. But the confidence comes from accepting for who you are, right? And don't compare yourself, like Brian said, on the other stuff. Don't compare yourself to this other person because there's only one of you. That's the beauty of God, right? Is that none of us are the same. It's impossible. Our DNAs are completely different. And you just need to embrace who you really are, embrace it. And then as long as you also show respect to that woman you want to talk to, and just approach her, and just let it ride. I mean, that's how I do it. I just kind of let it be. It's like, hi, I'm Vin Vong. I think you're hot as hell. But I bet you there's more to you, and I would love to know more. I would love to peel the onion. Hopefully, I don't cry as much, but let's see how it goes. And here's a drink. Or sometimes I'm a little bit more risque. I just go. I write on the napkin, let's risk it all. Buy her a drink and have the bartender put that note underneath the martini.
You're the
Yeah.
reason why they have those nail polish that change colors.
So yes, that's the biggest advice, right? Is the reason why is accept who you are, be self-aware, right? I think self-awareness is really important too, and then just have the confidence of the first two things, right? And to be afraid of rejections. I mean, I get plenty of rejections all the time, but don't take it personally. Be like, okay, there's many more women out there, and let me just continue to scour around. And if you're someone in college, just do the treadmill technique on Tinder. Just put it on an angle, just walk the treadmill, and then you pick from there who you want to be with. So, but
Yeah.
again,
Question. I got to follow up on that. So
yes.
I used to be unfortunately acquainted with some guy who's a complete skeezy shit sack, and Brian met him a couple times. But in your opinion, when you're trying to meet an elegant young lady, this salesman scumbag's advice was never ask yes or no questions because that gives them the opportunity to say no. So now Brian knows who I'm talking about. So he would never go up and like talk to him like you would normally would. He'd always say, "Hi, I'm Jeremy, and you are," and like
Yeah. No, I mean
that shit actually work, or is he just a salesman scumbag piece of shit?
No, it works. I mean, look, the one thing I just said, he said, let's risk it all. Right? It's not a question. It's just, let's risk it all. Or, just go, the other thing I said about peeling the onion, right? So like, it's
That's horrible. I like that one.
right. So you want to, appeal to her or him, right? And you want to just make it more about them, right? Because you want to be really appealing from a standpoint of you want to know more about them, and it could be genuine or not. I don't know who you are, and just go from there. So no yes or no questions. I definitely agree with that, but make it more about them and make it fun, right? Because because women normally like a guy that they can laugh with and who has confidence, and who wants to know more about them, right? It's not about them himself. Because there's so many men out there, just a bunch of selfish pricks who think they have confidence, but they're really insecure and have a small dick. So, and a lot of women can sniff that out. So that's part of that. The second part was there's someone that was like me who was a total man whore, who still is, but asked me, they still enjoy this life, but when was it that I found that I really wanted to settle down? So my answer is, the answer is two-part. Right? One is, I kind of got tired of it. It's like, okay, just motionless, just humping all the time. You're like, okay, well, there's really no, connection there. You kind of get bored. It's like, I'm missing something. There's only so much, that an hour to 3 hours can do, at a time. So, or 5 minutes at a party.
Oh my God.
So, so my biggest thing is go back to who you were when you're pursuing your dreams and what your vision was. I mean, Brian, you remind me of this all the time. Like, what was your vision for yourself as an adult, like 20, 30 years from now? Yes, you're going through this phase of just enjoying life in your 20s and all that, but what was your vision? Do you see yourself with a beautiful wife and a family and having a purpose, right? So my recommendation is, go back to, what your purpose was and where you envision yourself in the next 20, 30 years. Two, yeah, you're enjoying it now, which you're getting out of your system, but I think you just need to go with the process. Like, I think you eventually will, but at some point life will happen, because that's what happened to me. Life hit me hard. Like, yes, I enjoyed, the luxuries and all that, and traveling and, banging all the women possible. But there were moments where, like, I'm lonely. Wow. Like, despite all this, I feel very lonely. Right. And I started to go through these bad ways of coping with that and everything. And then it finally hit rock bottom. I went, okay, where did I see me at this point? And it was, going, wow, I want 4 kids. I want a wife that's beautiful, supportive. I want to see these kids graduate, and I want to be a grandparent. Like, that's see myself the rest of my life, right? And being the good father that my father wasn't. He can go. He's a piece of shit. So, but I want to be that way. I want to be a great father to my future kids. That's what really got me back to it. Going, okay, yeah, I got it out of my system, but man, I really got to get my life in order and build this future. So it's a long-winded answer, but I hope that helps to that individual or individuals. Actually, there was multiple people asking that, and surprising, a lot of them were in my world of finance as well. But yeah, so hopefully that helps with that, and I think those are the main questions from this past episode. But I will continue to dig those questions up, or our assistant will. Apologies for not getting all of them, but those seem to be the common themes from the last episode that we're asking.
And that'll be inspiration, Vin, for you to write your future book, The Confessions of a Man Whore.
Oh God.
Where so all the young men in the world can read more and learn more about man whoretry.
Man whoretry. No, I agree, and and I do feel bad when I hear these, see or read about these, or hear and read about those articles about young men that are falling behind. Yeah. And I think a lot of them try to play the blame game. Or women have these standards or societal pressure. Fuck you. Listen, end of the day, any strong-willed woman, right, whether successful or not, or they're part of this movement, I agree. Strong, women need to have equality, all that. I agree with that. But at the end of the day, all women also are traditional inside, right? They still want that comfort of having a man that is confident, that is strong, mentally and physically, who can provide and protect. Like, even though that woman may be a C-suite person, they still want that type of man, though, right? And I think a lot of these young men, you need to continue to be who you are and be, let's say, that and continue to become a man and be more of a man. And the right woman will appeal to you. But also, don't be a pushover, right? Be confident in those relationships. And if she doesn't embrace that, then move on. But I think there's so many women out there that would appreciate a man that has that, instead of being a fucking weak ass pushover. I'm not saying being like a fucking man that that's rude or disrespectful. I'm not saying that. No, is a respectful man who's strong, who's confident, who has a purpose, and who can protect and provide, and is able to match that woman, right? And they can say whatever they want, right? But they want that type of man. So all these men that are listening, especially the ones that are falling behind, you're falling behind because of yourself. Don't blame anyone else but yourself, right? You're the reason why you're falling behind. You need to get your look in the mirror, figure out how to get to the next level, get out of your grandma's basement, and level up. And that's just it. And if you continue to level up and not really get there yet, then level up more. So that's just my opinion. You can disagree if you want, even though you're wrong. But that's how I see it.
Well, I mean, I don't know why people get discouraged with by this mentality of, well, I'm not X, Y, or Z. Like, okay, I don't know, from an engineering standpoint, I actually love standards. It's like, all right, great, that's one less shit I got to figure out on my own. Fuck it. I just focus on the actual goal, not designing the little screw that goes into the hole and the goal. And I was like, okay, well, girls only want guys that are fit, rich, and have their shit together. Seems like your path is laid out then.
Yeah.
I go, okay, well, if that hypothesis is true, and I'm not saying that it is or it isn't. I've never actually been a woman, and I'm never going to be. But if that's what you believe, then that makes your reality. Well, what the fuck are you waiting for? Gyms are open. Go $10 a month membership. Who gives a shit? Doesn't have to be a luxury gym. Gravity works the same everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
If you think you're not getting any attention because you're a schmuck, well, don't be a schmuck.
Yeah, fix yourself.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. To Vin's point, like I don't understand why people view the standard in air quotes again. If that is the case, I don't understand why they view that as a limitation. It should be a roadmap.
Yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant from an engineer.
I know. I mean, I was due.
Yeah, I mean, you used to work for Boeing, but we won't hold it against you.
Everyone needs a first job.
Absolutely. Anything else, gents, before we bore out our audience?
No, those are good questions. Definitely thanks to the listeners for introducing those questions. Awesome.
All right, sounds good. We'll see in a couple weeks because I'm sure there's many more, or much more nonsense that we have to abolish from now until then.
Take care, folks.
Take care.